going to survive. It's not looking super great now. It's a rampage now coming out for Nightfall, and the G's get dropped. Double rampage.
Oh.
Unless he gets... Oh no! Oh, look how low it is! Get to the pit! Everybody get to the pit! Get to the pit right now! Get to the pit, boys! You can get it! There's a Roche!
Oh my god!
Oh, they're gonna hit it! Somebody hit it! Everybody to the pit! All hands on deck! Get that Roche up! And oh, DM's cleaned it up!
Money.
Oh no!
Money.
They went to the Roche pit. They needed more Crystallize. He's got no health. He's got no mana. He can't come over here.
And Crystallize is still, he's still tracked.
Oh, and he's still hanging around.
What the? Wait, what?
No. Oh dear. Oh dear. They'll get back in, back on track, and it will still be a 10-minute Roshan here from VP.
VP is my favorite team at the moment.
We have it, there's the jump. Paulison trying to close in onto Nightfall. Nightfall, no chemical rage for a couple of seconds. The arrow comes out to Quinn. They've caught Quinn with the stun. Paulison, Devastator with the stun. Takes a bunch of time. The concoction, it's out onto the three of them as they come in with a star storm.
It's the Ravage.
Triple kill for Nightfall.
Oh my god, like it was a cool save, but yeah, that three-man stun. I don't believe I've seen such a good stun from an Alchemist pretty much ever.
Again, this time they'll be the team making the move into a side that does have all the ults ready. See, they'll catch DM. Toro's in, DM. They save him in time. The golem's going to be dropped down. DM can't get off the RP. The Chrono comes out from Nightfall. Cataclysm follow up as well onto the three of them. They take down Yasura the bots. Toronto, Tokyo on full as well as Mira. As Nightfall, he's ready to keep the cleanup going. Over towards Yatoro. Triple kill for him.
Virtus.Pro, they have done it. They've made sure that they haven't dropped a single series in this Season 2 of the Eastern European DPC.
Well, now we know VP's story. As Moxie said, not dropping a single game in that season. But I'm still curious. I kind of want to know what happened on the Vici side. So that's why we have a recap for you of what happened this season for Vici Gaming.
They're still pressuring. They're posturing. They've taken the tier 2. 2 minutes left in the Aegis. Silence, that comes in as well.
Where's the lasso? There it is.
The lasso for the save on the track, but the Echo Slam, he still lives through it. Supernova
Another
is
good
out.
egg.
They've got the hook shot coming in from PYW as well as the Flamebreak pushing back Earthshaker and X-Nova. He's in the caught. Bounce over onto this PYW Clockwork. They get the kill on a one. He'll buy back immediately, but they've already taken out the Aegis with the Omni Slash bouncing around onto this death prophet. They've got the stuff that hits onto Ajay. Dark Pack, Lotus Orb trying to run. Oh, there's the lasso onto XM.
That was such a great play, man. Vici Gaming is just so strong in terms of like moving into the team fight. They're not grouping around. They know that the only way they lose this game if they group up. Enigma lands a multiple man black hole.
Oh, and a PYW again! I mean, you can't even zip TP because PYW is ready. It was almost like he hexed him out of the ball lightning. He's that good.
I'm telling you, man, this Necro is a great answer. Huh?
Cogs and the stun chaotic offering with the fatal bond. They put the ball strike in the epicenter of the damage. There it is. They call me Nostradamus for a reason. Emo, GT, Ali, and Kaka all dead.
In 1 second.
Yeah, literally instantly.
usually what your lineup wants to do is either it wants to farm or it wants to skirmish. But I'm not... Uh-oh.
Yeah, the roll in. AA Blast is coming.
Not connecting. He has haste.
Absolutely not, but Emo, he's going to turn this around. He has a static link applied to TA, who has the haste. He will be able to get this kill out of the PYW pretty easily. The Chrono is on
great
2.
Chrono.
They will get the Razor and the Lion. Actually, it's on 4. Holy jeez, on the bottom side of that as well. That might be the best level 1 Chrono I've seen in quite some time. That's 4 kills, and all they lose is the Earth Spirit.
That is disgusting. That's such a good Chrono.
But yes, that was the fight where we were expecting Nigma to, you know, take out these heroes that don't have buyback. So really,
It's a full minute still, Gary.
are they going to jump? Miracle's getting caught out here. They've got the refresher orb. Old 11 with the soul bind.
He has
Double
no
doom.
buyback.
He's going to die.
Not
He's gone
enough
for a
money.
minute and a half. And they've caught LTW as well. Wolf stomped him. Lycan's an absolute goner.
Oh, they did not respect that. What a play from 11.
So, the players are getting ready. We have Vici versus Virtus.Pro, and I have my hardworking panel here. I want to ask you guys, you know what, any predictions for this series? Now, Lacoste, actually, it's your time to explain your VP prediction.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with VP, even though Vici Gaming is a heavy farm-oriented team. They have more experience, and they will punish a small mistake when we go for that post 40-50 minute game. But to go back to Virtus.Pro, the way they've been playing during the group stage is we're gonna run at you. There's gonna be a lot of chaos, Darkseer plus a bounty hunter. In their last matches, it didn't happen against EG, against Aster. This team showed. I don't think I've seen such a good performance in a really long time. Because if you're watching the games looked boring for a casual viewer because there were no mistakes being made. The trifecta of 2 supports and the save, and DM running around the map, just making space so that GPK and Nightfall can get the items. There was one game where Tiny was 0-1 and 0, 20 minutes in, and then he just came in and got a triple kill inside a Roche, and that's it. Game ended.
Oh, Lizard, do you support this idea by Lacoste?
I have to completely support this idea by Lacoste because not the same reasons. I think that this is a team that's extremely young but bringing a ton of confidence to the game. If you look at the heroes that they're drafting, the Bounty Hunter that he mentioned, we've seen some Dawn Breakers on position 1. I just feel that psychologically they haven't been broken on this land. They actually came in strong, they're playing their style, they're enjoying themselves, and I think that's the place where you want to be if you're going to take this series.
I still feel a bit of hesitancy before like jumping on the VP bandwagon because we've seen them. They're going to be the kings of the early game. They're great at crushing the lanes, playing super fast, putting teams on the back foot. But that's also where Vici Gaming kind of thrives. They play this kind of slower, methodical Dota. They like to be the kind of defensive team, the one reacting, defending their towers, kind of making counter moves. And we've seen VP overextend. They did it against OG in the group stage. They did it against T1, where they get these big early leads. They dive too far, and that worries me when it comes to playing a team like Vici, who is so good at punishing mistakes. It also just worries me when you look at VP's track record at the majors, where they didn't quite perform up to expectations. So I think there's a lot of pressure on VP, and for Vici Gaming, their playstyle might be VP's kryptonite.
Are you on the Vici bandwagon a bit more? Not for this match in general, because I know a couple of analysts, myself included, have talked up Vici Gaming as one of the top contenders for the Aegis.
Not yet. I think they are kind of still lacking that kind of X factor, as I kind of put in one of the earlier panels, where I just don't think they have what it takes to win a TI, because they're missing something flashy. They're missing that kind of OG or PSG LGD factor.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens in game number 1 as we go right to it. Vici versus VP.
Vici Gaming versus Virtus.Pro. Game 1.
Welcome to the draft panel. I'm joined by the fabulous Effie and Insania to talk through this one. And one of the things I'm excited about this one is the question could be answered as whether we're actually going to see some variety from Virtus.Pro, because they played the lowest number of heroes in the group stage. I don't know what you guys are thinking, what you're predicting. Take it away.
I think they have quite a wide hero pool, so they're probably holding back a little bit. They probably felt like they found something that's good enough to get them out of groups, and they just stuck to it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them busting out a lot of new heroes. I think VP Save has like all of his Dota Plus heroes like above level 18, so they're platinum tier on like maybe like 10 heroes or so. So he plays a lot of heroes.
You stalker.
Yes.
And I think with Vici, they have expanded a little bit more than in their DPC season, particularly from Ori, their mid player, who actually has the most versatility out of all the other players on his team throughout groups. So it's nice to see that happening, and to highlight Ori in particular, he hasn't been having the best performances in the last few months, but he really stepped it up during TI. So I'm really curious what the Ori versus GPK matchup is going to look like here.
I think probably you could expect GPK to peak a bit higher and be a little bit more of that flashy type mid player that you see running around a lot, but I think Ori fits more of like the traditional, he'll play the Dragon Knights, he'll play the Vipers, he'll play the Shadow Fiend. Maybe not the most flashy Shadow Fiend that you've ever seen, but he'll get the job done. And I think that's like the big difference here between the mid laners and VP and Vici, where you have Ori, who's like the rock. He's very much kind of more similar to our mid laner in Liquid, where it's like he's very stable, he's going to get the job done. And then you have GPK that kind of flashes of brilliance, but also equally so sometimes fall very flat.
Very good points, and it's going to be exciting to see this happen. It's nice to see that both teams did their research on each other, because VP banned out Vici's most successful heroes, which were Weaver and ET throughout the groups, whereas Vici banned out the Ion, the Dawnbreaker. But it's interesting to me that they prioritized the Dawnbreaker ban over something else, because while VP have played it, they haven't had the most success with it.
I think it's just scary, right? You get to main event. It was a similar story with the OG Wisp, I think, last year, where like you don't really know how to beat it. You don't know how it works. It's a new hero. You're not comfortable playing up against it, so you're going to end up banning it out. And I know a lot of the old school captains, specifically Kuroki used to talk about this, that you want these like kind of free win strats. You want to have this like, I'll pick this hero and you're going to be afraid. And I think the Dawnbreaker is kind of accomplishing that for VP here, where they just want to get rid of it. It gives them a free ban, basically a free opening. And here for VP, that ends up giving them an Earthshaker that most likely would have been banned otherwise.
So something that Vici has done a little bit differently is typically they will draft Old 11's hero in the first phase, because he has only played about maybe 4 or 5 total heroes during groups, and they really prioritize getting it out there. But unless this is an offlane Tiny, it seems that they have just ignored that idea completely here. Is there a reason for that?
I think most likely they just feel like they have to snap the Tiny, right? They probably had this idea coming in where they're expecting the Tiny to be banned out. It's been banned out a lot. People didn't really want to give it away during the groups, but it now seems like VP are more comfortable with giving it away. And to follow up with the offlane thing, you can see VP's prepared, right? They've looked this up. They are aware that his hero pool is limited, and they're targeting him here now. They're banning out the Night Stalker, followed up by the Tide.
And they actually snagged the Earthshaker, which is one of the 4 heroes that he's played often. Pretty much leaves the Doom, which is one of his favorites.
Earthshaker was played 6 times during the group stage by Vici, so I wonder if Virtus.Pro as well were like, we're gonna get in there first, because actually, sorry, Virtus.Pro played it 5 times, Vici played it 6 times, so I think there was kind of a battle going on. If we don't pick it first, then we might not get it for stop.
Yeah, and that's something that definitely is a part of drafting, and especially more once you get into main stage and deeper into tournaments. You know what the enemy team kind of values, and you know what heroes they're going to look for in the first phase. So it kind of becomes sometimes like, let's say you were picking Earthshaker in the second phase, and you knew your matchups, and you knew you were going to have a good laning phase. This is like where the player skills tested, because now if you want the Earthshaker, you're going to have to pick it early, and you're going to have to get counterpicked, or you might get counterpicked, and you're going to have to be able to play through it anyway. And I think the players that generally do well at TI are the players that have that versatility. You can play the hero with slightly more farm, or slightly less farm. And I think this could be somewhere where an area in which Vici's experience comes to in their favor, because Old 11's been at a bunch of TIs, and this is DM's first, if I'm not wrong. So I think that these kind of factors is important to notice. So even though VP has played a lot of Earthshaker, how much first phase, you know, or how comfortable is he playing it if he gets counterpicked?
And like we saw yesterday, a bunch of young players with maybe not the best LAN experience, even though they can have an incredibly dominant group stage, can choke on the main stage. So points like that really do come into play in something like this. What I wanted to comment on is what I like about Vici's draft is there's a lot of mixed damage already out of Tiny and Snapfire. Lots of magical damage, lots of burst, and also physical damage, right? So there's a nice synergy between these 2 heroes. Whereas I can see this Slugna getting burst down very quickly.
Yeah. I think at first glance, this Phoenix is also a little bit of a weird pick, right? You kind of consider Snapfire to be a bit of a counter because of how her third spell, which I know the name of, counters the Little Shredder counters the Phoenix Egg, because it has very quick attack speed, so you just hit down the egg immediately. But if you keep looking at the VP draft a bit more, you notice that there's a lot of stuff to cover it. You have the Pugna to cover him, you have the Earthshaker to cover him, and Snapfire, generally speaking, wants to play pretty far back. So the Phoenix could be a good way to bait him in and to force the Snapfire not to use their ulti. Because when Snapfire ults, you can egg very comfortably. Because at that point, the Snapfire is no longer in position to come in and low shredder your little egg without getting fissure stun or potentially Pugna the corrupt fight.
That's a very good point, and I've always liked heroes like Earthshaker and Sand King in defending the egg, but something else that we can add on to that is with the combination of Phoenix and Pugna, especially with the prevalence of Holy Locket as an item, there's a lot of sustain coming out of VP's team.
True.
So that's going to be very annoying to deal with.
I'm curious about Bristleback as a potential hero. I noticed them doing this in the group stage where they played Bristleback Pugna and they kept buffing the Bristleback up with the mana from Pugna and healing him and just giving him sustain. And right now they have really nice backline heroes to do that. And Saucer, like, pretty decent hero against the Bristle because you stack up your Q infinite, but it doesn't really matter, right, when you have infinite sustain coming out from your two supports.
That's a very good point, and these two supports do like to build Lotus Orb. There's also a potential they could make it a mid-Pugna, but I don't like that so much here. Silencer is also a very good Phoenix counter, so Vici's draft looks really strong in my opinion. They have their team fight covered with Global and RP and Mortimer's Kisses, and they have their late game covered with Tiny. And they have very good individual hero matchups, I would say.
I think if you're VP right now, you're kind of looking at some sort of maybe like Wraith King, Bristle, the more like tankier type carries, because Vici's draft is very reliant on their spells to deal damage. You're gonna have like Tiny combo, you're gonna have Snapfire throwing some spells, and there's the Bristle. Yeah.
Insania the Prophet.
It's like you've played a TI before.
Yeah, I didn't get very far though.
We don't need to talk about that. A TI is a TI.
True.
So looking here at Vici Gaming's lineup so far, what ultimately is what they're trying to, what are they ultimately trying to achieve, do you think, with this draft so far?
I think for Vici, it's going to be try to farm up the Tiny, and then this is going to be basically the question of the game. Can they kill Bristleback during the Silver's Edge? Cool duration from Tiny, or is Bristle going to survive it and then out-sustain them with all the backline that he has? I think no matter what they pick here in the end, these two heroes are going to be the defining heroes for the draft. I think for Vici as well, they have the Silencer, like you mentioned, to cover against the egg. So initiation for them is going to be very important too.
I agree. And the nice thing about Bristleback as a hero is even though it is annoying to play against something like Arcane Curse, he does hit his timings quite fast, and he still excels at taking Ancient Stacks, right? If he hits his timing earlier than Tiny, they can just run them over with all of the sustain that they have coming out of Pugna and Phoenix. Even though individually these heroes may look like they might struggle, overall they do mesh well together. But I think if Vici hold out for Tiny's timings, it's going to get a lot more difficult for VP to take these fights, for reasons that Insania mentioned.
So the final pick from Virtus.Pro, is that going to be a counter?
I think it's probably just going to be something supportive, like it's going to try to support their draft. So right now they have the option of running the Pugna on GPK, but they could also run it on save. They can run the Earthshaker on save and pick an offlaner. They have a lot of abilities, like to basically pick whatever hero they feel best supports their game plan, which to me is, at this point, it's going to be a lot about stacking up the Bristleback and getting him very, very fat. And they're on Dire, which is we had talked about it off stream, but one of the few advantages that Dire has is that they have these camps in the jungle, which are easier to stack multiples up at the same time. And Bristleback's one of the best heroes to utilize that specific thing. So Dire, Bristleback, I just think it's going to be all about stacking this guy up, getting him as fat as you possibly can. And this is something that I know we like to run a lot, so I think the first 12-15 minutes, if you can get that 1-2K net worth ahead of the rest of the game, I would favor them pretty strongly moving into the mid-game.
And Vici Gaming are banning out these initiator type offlaners, which is a really good call by them, because right now, until Earthshaker gets his flank, they're just going to be playing behind the Bristle, and that can result in some problems. So by having something like a Mars or a Beastmaster, it makes their ability to take fights that much easier. And Razor Void.
I think it's a strong lane matchup against Void Spirit, but in the game itself, I don't think Void Spirit really cares that much about Razor. But yeah, I think VP, they're trying to dominate the lanes in the start. We're going to run around with 4 heroes.
If DM hits his timings, this can be a very scary game for Void because he will die, right? So it's just about what happens in the first 15 minutes, like Insania says. But if the game holds out for longer, I do favor Vici.
Well, we're going to be getting into that game very shortly, but before we do, it's time for the last word with
Тине нужно быть скорым без вариантов. Если Тине в этой игре не одевается, не покупается Верейдж, то Bristleback их просто закатывает в минуте на 30-й.
Получается, скорее всего, Магнус тройка, Тири Тини единица, да? И Тини будет фармить у нас Сильведж.
Ну, слушай, классно то, что ВП продолжают, вот, как сказать, креативить, да, не всегда удачно, не всегда успешно, но вот видим то, что уже один герой в первой стадии.
Что тебе больше нравится, Дима?
Я за новизну, я за креатив, я за новинки. И пока вот я вижу, что делает ВП, мне это нравится, я хочу что-нибудь еще.
Вот я, кстати, тебя тут полностью поддержу, я обожаю, когда новые драфты. В любом случае, давайте смотреть игру, слово комментаторам.
Да, вот он настал, наконец, тот самый момент. Проверка для команды Virtus.Pro. Проверка не просто ланом, но кабинками.
Но все-таки тут немножечко попроще условия, чем Virtus.Pro обычно.
Thank you very much, Brian. Yes. Virtus.Pro, Vici Gaming, best three. Fog, what are you looking forward to seeing from these two here out on the main stage?
Just a clash of two styles, really. I think that's what most people were even looking at coming into this game. Even before we even saw the draft, I think most people were expecting Vici to do Vici things. Play a little bit more of that slow-paced style, wait till they start hitting their time, their big later game timings. VP, they have changed a lot. Sure, they're still all about that fast-paced kind of lineup, all about that aggression, but they've gotten a lot more just stable in the way they hit their big timings, then boom, they're not going to look to make a mistake, they're going to look to be a very clean game and just close it out. And, hey, look at the draft, right? We have Bristle, Razor, Horse. That's all about looking to get an advantage and at a relatively early time.
No, yes, and specifically the Bristle and the Pugner, you know, these are very much heroes that we haven't really seen other teams play with that much, whereas, you know, Vici Gaming, on the other hand, their whole lineup, you know, these heroes have sort of been played across the board. You know, Silence has sort of more recently started to move up in value, a lot of teams starting to look towards that, but everything else from Vici Gaming, it's just sort of top heroes of the meta.
Yeah, especially like the Magnus that they slipped in later on in the draft, which we saw, of course, last series. It went up to first pick. It became the most high priority pick. So, yeah, we'll see how that's going to end up playing out, and we'll see if they, like they mentioned about timings, if Silencer does start to fall off too, right? Because I know they have, like, Vici's late game is extremely strong, but we've seen time and time again, Silencers around that 35-minute mark, they start to struggle, so I'm really looking forward to this series.
Да, ну, Магнус сегодня настоящая звезда, но ВП не изменяют себе. Они пробовали на групповом этапе не пошло в какой-то момент. А вот эта стратегия с Бэком, наоборот, как раз-таки была очень хороша. Все получалось. Самое главное, что есть чем ломать вышки. Просто Бристол становится, начинает ломать ДВР и может закончить игру.
To make Ori's early game rather hard. We'll see.
Один из самых стабильных игроков Китая и команда Vici Gaming. Начинает наводить спирити против Разора, и это выглядит как очень непростая линия для White
Для White Spirit реально выглядит как очень непростая, и к тому же, наверное, немножко даже нестандартная, потому что Разор — это крайне редкий гость у нас не только Captain's Mode, но и в ранкет матчмейкинге. Да, мы кого там привыкли видеть? Мы там привыкли видеть Лину, мы там привыкли видеть там инвокера какого-то, других спиритов, но Разор появляется, когда кто-то открывает.
How does that sort of fit into the meta that we're seeing? Like, is this sort of a concept that you feel VP could really show us the strengths of against the types of meta that we've been seeing teams play, or at least most of the teams play?
They're one of the only, if not the only teams playing it. Yeah,
довольно много взрывного урона.
Just something that they really like to play. Nightfall might just feel very comfortable on it with the team.
Виталием
Мельником
на нижней линии, ну и им противостоят Пугёя и PYW. Тини очень много взрывного урона, он залетает, он дает, ну, кому как не Nightfall знать, который
something to dispel, right? Otherwise these fights, surely the damage, the duration, it adds up. It's not going to be fun spamming your spells when you've been arcane cursed.
No, definitely not. They have 2 Lotus Orb buyers, at least 3 Lotus Orb buyers on their team, maybe even more than that. They could even prioritize one on the Razor, even the Bristle itself. So we'll probably see 2-3 Lotus Orbs coming out because Phoenix is going to want one, Pugner's going to want one, Bristle's probably wants one. So we'll see that in time. I'm really just going to be glancing at mid to see if... Hey, Ori is one of the big playmakers for me, for Vici, and when he starts to have a bit of a rough game at times, I feel like their game gets even slower than it usually is. They are more of a slow team, and looking at the lane already, 10-6 on the Razor, 3-1.
As we said on paper, it's a tough matchup, and GPK, he is completely abusing that. 11 for 7 against the 3-4-1. Plenty wide.
Bukvalно еще
He's going to burn pretty low, but not quite enough. Sounds to the ready.
Это был шоквейв с молоком. Может быть,
He's going to get chased down by old 11 again, though not quite enough damage.
Eleven очень хорошо себя показывал на групповом этапе, но не будет забывать, что в решающих играх обычно у этого китайского флейнера были большие проблемы. Посмотрим, как будет здесь.
Это верхняя сетка и первая карта, есть право нашей. Так что волноваться, наверное, все-таки рановато еще. переживать за
Право на 4 ошибки.
Down bottom at the moment for both cores. DM 12 for 1 here. Offlane, Poyo, 14, 15 for 1. So both cores trading farm quite nicely down here.
15-8 у ГПК.
Side lanes both supports trying to play around here. Save comes over around the attempt pool. The setup around the cap. Top lane. Oh, Lemmy's getting the skewer back. Pretty deep. At least get a tower hit or two, and then he does. Nightfall getting a little too close to that dangerous area where Old 11's able to pull him in and set him up underneath the tower for that extra damage.
По-другому никак, да.
So much, really. So powerful in lane.
You gotta be careful.
Спина прокачана.
11. That's always something scary for Bristleback too. Even like, let's say in the later stages of the game too.
Что делать Void Spirit?
Bristol is a tanky hero, but sometimes you feel a little bit deceptive because you feel so tanky. But let's say you get completely pulled out of position. It's going to change the way that your saves are looking to play. Because then the partner has to get out of position. The Phoenix as well to try to protect you.
понимаю, как раз-таки Void Spirit должен в этой игре справляться с пугой, но вообще здесь пик Сайленсера выглядит очень круто, потому что сейвы будут просто кидать глобал, он не сможет давать ни лайфтрейн, ни дикрик, вообще ничего. Да, но видишь, это работает только если ты атакуешь с Сайленсером. Если ты защищаешься, то, как правило, это не так эффективно, потому что первыми нападают Virtus.Pro, ты там какие-то скиллы сбросить не успеваешь, у тебя кто-то умирает, а потом уже на развороте, когда ты уже используешь глобал, Пугни не особо-то и надо там кого-то сейвить.
It's sort of this sort of pace now where GPK has been sort of visiting jungle a little bit, looking towards neutrals as well. It's giving Ori a bit more of a chance to close that gap in.
Мы не знаем, сколько из этих крипов нейтральные на сын легкого компа, потом уже ближе к нетворсу. Посмотрим, как обстоят дела. Ну, пока у ГПК действительно никаких проблем не возникает. У него есть еще такая четверка, Пугна, у него большой муспит, ему там попроще, мне кажется, чем Сайленсеру руны проконтролить, там на 6-й минуте не дать Ори забрать какой-то поворот.
Я бы сказал, что Ори никаких проблем, потому что у него так все плохо было в начале, а он фактически не отстает. 200 это совсем немного.
По итогу так и там может быть разор где-то, знаешь, нейтральных крипов по фарму. Солари появляется на шейкере, сейф пытается догнать YW. Должно быть своевременно от пятой позиции Vici
и уходит. Нападение на Кингслея,
They're not going to be the case. And it's getting to the stage now where this top lane, now the levels are in, level 4 on Nightfall. They've got to be very careful about how they extend it for Kingslayer, as Nightfall will be able to turn around any drawn-out engagement between the two lanes there.
Вот, я об этом и хотел сказать. Как раз-таки опять доминатор, но не изменяют себе. Сегодня у нас все Магнусы только через доминатор.
Все Магнусы только через доминатор, и мне кажется, это немного странным. Да, я понимаю, что доминатор, он позволяет тебе быстрее сломать мышку, он позволяет тебе получить необходимый абориген на линии, здесь же еще такой прекрасный артефакт, как Food of Defiance. Ты тоже можешь купить кольцо, тебе даст этот абориген, и потом от этого артефакта, мне кажется, ну, просто чуть побольше пользы, потому что от доминатора, особенно в пиках, где много урона по области, может быть не так много профита в целом, потому что клип умирает быстро,
это все видят прекрасно Vici Gaming, у них стоит вард. Понятно, что стаки в основном для Bristleback. Интересно, будет ли Vici как-то эти стаки пытаться своровать? Ну, потому что весь смысл стратегии Virtus.Pro в том, что Bristol возьмет быстрый агоним и пойдет давить. И убить его будет очень сложно.
Слушай, кстати говоря, тут мы с тобой про Сайленс против Пугна беседовали, а ведь и против Bristleback не самый плохой пик, пока у того нет какого-то диспела. Ты под курсой не особо хочешь там, ну, раскастовывать.
Очень много урона.
Да, там настакивается курса, и приятного мало. Даже
кому-то здесь нужно будет собрать, видимо, Лотус, да, ну, потому что Ю сам Bristleback вряд ли будет, может, он сам купит.
Ну, на Керри Bristleback не очень хочется, конечно, это можно купить, например, внутри Bristleback, наверное, все-таки хочется Яшо, особенно против Магнуса.
До этого не дойдет особо, и не будет у него таких проблем. Кингслеер продолжает стакать, еще парочку делает, и совсем скоро сюда эпилептик передвинется.
С лайнами пока хотя нормально в полном снизу нападения. ГПК врывается плазма, видишь, ему поворапом он нашел руну, и он загадал. Вот этого он мог бы теоретически практически точно так же прийти в топ, но Nightfall,
Or he did not choose to even make the counter move though, since it is a hasted Razor. He's just like, whatever, I need to catch up my game. Razor's gonna look to gank on the side. He's gonna get some big benefit from it, but I'm catching back up. I'm hitting mid tower a little bit too.
No, for sure. I looked at the time as well. I'm not quite sure what he used it for earlier, but both of his Astral Steps were on cooldown.
Okay, so just 25-35 минуту, может быть,
I think so, yeah. Which did mean he wasn't quite in the shape that maybe could have turned up to that bottom lane.
Так, 8-я минута, double damage, хорошо.
大哥刚被那个时候应该是有什么先锋队 A 杖这种道具了。VP 这个阵容节奏会非常快。
Usual triangle, but it is warded. So Vici is gonna be aware that
что-нибудь надо вам
and they know what's happening with the
Baron Astral Step. They can take this pretty quickly.
Pakai diambil.
Corey's in.
Super quick. He's DD as well.
Yeah, this is well, there we have it. I think it's pretty much every creep.
Okay, berhasil di pick off.
I mean, this may be worth it. That's a lot of effective gold XP that you do take away from VP there with that move. I mean, sure, you die at the end of it all, but that was at least a triple stack you're taking out of the hands of Nightfall.
Хотя, как мы видим, 3500 у него разок чуть-чуть вырывается вперед.
It's a trade.
The thing is, the Razor gets they get a big chunk of experience on the support and the Razor, and then he's off the map now for quite some time, so they can split up.
Okay, so you think VP don't, they're like,
whatever. Против Шейкера фармить, Шейкер немножечко начинает проседать. Все-таки против Сини стоять не сахар.
Ну да, особенно когда он там получает, у него урона тоже много. Тебе надо попытаются не забрать, должен быть слэм, работает
TP's are coming in, but GPK, he's just going right in underneath the tower. That's going to miss the blast here. GPK just standing tall on top of Poyoyo. Poyoyo will fall. He will find the Fisher excellent time to get out of there, but the damage has been done. GPK getting these movements now, to make a big break. Now jumps over towards GPK, they'll take out the Razor. He's got his eyes set.
Bisa dapat dua, ditarik. Gak ada tarik.
DM makes it back to base.
Что на ноге отсюда просто так ты не убежишь.
Ну, размен достаточно плохой для Вичи. Опять получается, что отдают они Тини, отдают еще и Snapfire. С другой стороны, ничего не происходит, у них все в порядке по нетворсам. У них очень много фармит Магнус. Void Spirit набирает много. Какая тяжелая линия была у Ори против Разора. Но, пожалуйста, и Nightfall уже зачистил стаки, но, как мы видим, Нетворс у него совсем не топовый. Более того, он Тини особо даже не обгоняет.
Меня не может не радовать тот факт, что я вижу появление Феникса против вот такого героя, как Тини. Тини — это главный бан вообще во всех играх у нас на интернешнале. И на групповой стадии, и на плей-оффе его банят, его никто не отдает, но теоретически ты можешь отдать сопернику Тини и взять каких-то героев, которые хорошо работают против таких толстяков. Это Феникс, Некрофос, Энигма, что, в общем-то, для кого-то
удивляет. Вниз опять будут душить
And he's going to have a pretty good timing on that blink dagger. We talk about VP speed and aggression.
Сверху будет размен. Ну да, тоже пытаются выйти. Феникс улетает, ставится Ривен.
Забрали Феникса, заберут его.
Иногда играют некоторые пятерки, вот ты уже знаешь, что при 10 минуте пятерки ты не можешь дефать, если только ты не какой-то там транспротектор или Джекир с крапирой. Вот не уверен я стоять за этой вышкой и вот ждать вот этого опасного момента стоит ли вообще.
Very similar stuff coming out.
Vici, I think that has a little bit better information. They also blocked out Ancients.
Он имел шансы как-то задержать.
The silence coming out, GPK is actually able to escape from this only just. GPK will get out, they'll heal him up a bit as well, save it. With the drain, keep his HP topped up. PYW is still hunting, the troops actually found DM rather low here. But still, they're backing away from it. They're aware, you know, Echo Slam is up, they don't want to fight right underneath the nose of the Earthshaker.
Quite a bit of egg also available, and we do see save. This is why they picked that Pugna to keep their cores healthy, to keep them on the map. GPK, in normal situations, he would have had gone back to base. But look, Pugna just full healed him up. He can actually keep his presence on the map, keep pressuring this tower that they weren't able to get before.
И глобала нет.
Because all this pressure is completely taking any attention away from the Bristleback. Nightfall having the whole day all to himself. Halfway through on the Aghanim's. For Poyoyo also, things looking very nice in the farm department. Pretty much even there on both carries right now in terms of what they're getting out of the map. This game, 12 minutes in.
накопил, а у DM уже появился блин. Вот сейчас нужно будет его реализовать. Пока что Vici Gaming все в полном порядке. Они фармят, их никто особо не зажимает.
Очень важно с 15 где-то по 25-30 минуту отыграть достойно. Я не говорю, что они должны быть обязательно как-то принимать всегда постоянно их убивать, но просто вот какие-то размены даже, может быть, не очень удачные, чтобы Ти не фармил, чтобы будет Спирит тоже фармил, и все будет получается, да, ВП.
Happy with the state of the game right now. I think they want to get a little bit more out of the lane phase.
Definitely feeling with the frequency that GPK is just over here on this bottom half.
И просто уходит отсюда. Да, здорово сыграли здесь, ничего не получается сделать, не получается реализовать вот это тайминговое окошко, и всего 30 секунд остается до нового глобала. А Шейкер свой хэслэм так и не разрядил.
Сайленсер и против Шейкера тоже оказывается. Да, он реально не позволяет тебе продолжить вот эту вот свою инициацию. Ты врубаешься до Шеха, тут же сразу
PYW seemed like just jungling, as a snapfire, he's already got his medallion. Ну, ВП пока что ищут ключики к обороне Vici Gaming, но, как мы видим, варды везде у Vici стоят, они все прекрасно видят, там, где не видят, сканируют, и ничего не получается. Рискует все это зайти в лейт. Все-таки я не верю в то, что в лейте синие под эмпауром, да и сам Магнус, да еще и Сайленсер не справятся с бристолбэком, особенно Разор. Разор вообще справится легко.
Справиться так-то, если посмотреть, у Vici Gaming и контроль сквозь БКБ присутствует, причем в двух видах. Глобал и РП. А вот Супернова крайне такая способность ненадежная, там, последних минутах, ибо есть Snapfire, которая может помочь разбить, да, там полного заряда уже не хватает, когда у тебя третий ульт, там таланты какие-то, может, там и плюс Аганим имеется. Не так просто.
Смог вниз, атака идет от Сайленсера и Войдспирита находят Шейкера, не попадает по нему Ремнанта, море очень много косячек здесь, но зато Snapfire побежала и расстреливает Шейкера. Да, у Ори пока есть какие-то неточности, не попал пары Ремнантов, но не более того, нападение на Eleven. Eleven пытается сделать телепорт, что нет Юла еще. Да, тоже Юла. КБ делает Разор.
Интересный недостаток пика на каких-либо героях, кроме Шейкера. Это всегда печально. У Шейкера очень серьезный уровень дизейбла, он может хорошенько продержать, ну, там,
еще одна атака. PYW заходят, видят Бристлбэка, нет, просто смотрят, как он тут фармит, вряд ли будет прям выходить на него. Погоняют Бристлана на 15 минуте. Да, Vici Gaming действует очень раскованно, все у них получается, действительно проблемы с контролем. Вот насколько правильно в такой ситуации собирать КБ, а не делать юл, который помогал бы тебе сбивать ТПшки.
На ком? На Разоре? Я думаю, что абсолютно правильно, потому что КБ он просто не выживет. Порвется Тинис,
полагаться на Шейкера надо все-таки.
Ну, конечно, как иначе. Один юл просто сбить ТП, мало что тебе это дает, все равно тебе какой-то плюс нужен. У Магнуса даггер появляется, Тини фармит Shadowblade, чтобы как-то похавать глобал, попытка забрать здесь Пугну или Шейкера. Пугну подцепили, легенький такой фраг получится.
Очень хороший фраг, и вот оно нападение на Войдспирита, которое тут же прервано глобалом и забирают Пугну. Не работает пока что Пугневич вообще. Да и Шейкер тоже, да и вообще никто против Сайленсера не работает. Самое ужасное, что ВП не удается вот эти вот окна без глобала хоть как-то использовать. Вот сейчас Шейкер заходит, разряжает тотем, но не слишком сильно выставляется здесь. Нет, Сайленсер отдает, но опять же он без ультимейта, и отдав свою пятерку, абсолютно спокойно Vici Gaming расходятся.
Их это устраивает, им просто нужна вот эта вот суета на каждый, знаешь, возня, чтобы не бегали Virtus.Pro впятером, не давили их.
Вот Спирит в миде окружает его, ну как окружает, контролит, контроля нет вообще. Поднимают в итоге в Юл Бристлбэка, сажают его на Ремнант. Да еще и вот Спирит, который разворачивает Бристла лицом. Eleven, минус курьер, уходит с блинка.
Такое себе решение, если честно, если Ремнант это единственное, на что ты полагаешься, но это не единственное, на что полагается Vici Gaming в борьбе против Бристлбэка. БКБ у Разора появляется, Вейл в Дискорд появился, у Сайленсера.
Давит, начинают прям давить Virtus.Pro, понимая, что пока глобала нет, пока Vici Gaming сами не вышли атаку, нужно пытаться, ну хотя бы вышку какую-то
вышку в центре, да, конечно, ломать надо, иначе как карту захватывать, вообще непонятно.
Под Вейлом много урона сейчас может получить, пошел ультимейт, улетает отсюда Феникс, не дает спушить вышку в центральной линии, как же больно Кингслейру, Кингслейр погибает.
Да, об этом речь.
Сайленсер просто уничтожает, он не дает Фениксу остановить свой полет. полет, потому что Феникс вешает Сайленс, он вынужден возвращаться на ту же самую точку.
Да, вот я о чем и говорю, что как только на нем висел Motherboard, тут уже выбор. Ну, я думаю, что он просто супернову нажмет, честно говоря, но решил засейвить этот ультимейт. Заспамнился он достаточно быстро. Тир-1 в центре.
That's a very good timing for his Veil. He has good damage, and as we see there, you know, this is one of the reasons why Silencer has always been sought after versus Phoenix. Most of the time, you know, you're still not
Да, и Vici Gaming спокойно защищает свой тавер, забирают Феникса, всем довольны, Тини выходит в БКБ. Нет, это Магнус выходит в БКБ, Тини, наверное, тоже. В принципе, у Тини Сильвер не за горами с таким темпом фарма. Он делает Сильвер даже.
Тини, в общем-то, БКБ-то особо, наверное, и не нужно прям так быстро, да, потому что, ну что, кто ему мешает? Магии много. Вроде и есть магия, но станов не шибко много.
Смока довольно жирный. Virtus.Pro, очередная попытка напасть на центральную линию. Сайленсер вышел далеко, Магнус рвается первым. Может быть, сейчас контр-инициировать. Попытка забрать, отлично ставится Супернова, пытается все разбить, но нужно это как немного контроля. Нет, разбирают уже, но где же там Шейкер? Шейкер прыгнул в Пуёю, Пуёю сильно пробили, Пуёю должны забирать, да, забирают Тини. Неплохой размен. Вышка, правда, все еще стоит. Nightfall забирает PYW, это 2 в 1. Но все начинает буставать по тауру, и это минус
Virtus.Pro, да, дождали своих таймингов, сейчас они будут давить максимально. Для Vici Gaming самое важное в этот момент не провоцироваться на эти атаки, не стараться постоянно принимать, больше играть по сайдам, где-то там гангать, Nightfall. Ему ничто здесь не должно угрожать. Хотя, слушай, что-то как-то тут многовато. Как-то тут многовато героев, его увозят на
Сура и забирает его Орик. Как же неаккуратно сыграл здесь Егор. 47 секунд, и такой жирный фраг достается Vici Gaming.
Тини, конечно, тоже умирал, но мы прекрасно знаем, что в этом матчапе каждая секунда крайне важна, чтобы реализовывать силу своих героев. Ну, хоть выше в центре забрали.
Да, ничего пока сверхкритичного. ВП продолжит давить. До Сильвера Тини. Страшно представить, что будет дальше, потому что Тини возьмет себе здесь террасу, возьмет Клотингбар.
Как тебе вот это вот 242 плюс 159. Замечательно. Да, 2 атаки буквально в касании. Так, шлеп-шлеп.
Это, кстати, мои любимые цифры.
Подцепили здесь и Void Spirit, ответный глобал, контратака и килл на шейкере.
Ори, мега килл.
Сайленсер очень сильно спасает здесь. Мы на протяжении там первых 10 минут перечисляли достоинства пика Vici Gaming и недостатки пика Virtus.Pro. И, честно говоря, я даже не помню, было ли хоть что-то хорошее.
Знаешь, я так скажу, мы 5 минут перечисляли, и 20 минут мы смотрим за этими недостатками и достоинствами. Реально очень хорошо Vici подготовились. Вот прям к этому драфту идеально. Разворачивают Брестла лицо, Магнусу возит, Тини делает Сильвер, Сайленсер контрит всех героев.
Знаешь, Тини это такой герой, которого, наверное, всегда можно пикнуть, и он всегда покажет. Именно поэтому его банят. Потому что ты можешь взять Керри Тини, то есть, казалось бы, открыть героя первой позиции. Такое нечасто бывает, но он настолько универсален, что тебе по барабану просто будет против него играть, по большей части.
КПК с Сэнджем и вроде бы мощный разор, пока с ним разобраться не получается, но в принципе и не пытаются это делать Vici Gaming, они просто его игнорируют. Они этого стороны, они забирают Шейкера, забирают Bristleback, если есть возможность, ну и по саппорту проходятся. Продолжают фармить, вообще никуда не торопятся, Шейкер скидывает РК-слэм, но все это Сайленсер пятерка. Тем не менее, это килл, 32 секунды без глобала.
Это попытка выйти на Рошана должна быть сейчас, потому что как дальше реализовать инициативу, мне кажется, Virtus.Pro не особо могут. Без РК-слэма под вардами Vici Gaming они чувствуют, что их где-то видно, поэтому не стараются лезть особо далеко. А ВП теряют время, они могли уже попытаться как-то этого Рошана забирать, если бы хотели. Но Сайленсер скоро спавнится, и ВГ в позиции.
Это очень рискованно. Нападение на Bristleback, 2 удара, минус пассивка. Пассивка, конечно, откатывает Пуёю, зацепили его, можно попробовать забрать Керри команды. Неужели есть успеть опять, или может Пуёю улетает на фонтан? Что же такое? В этот момент гребет Магнуса, Магнус уходит, Шейкера уже забрали. Отличная курса вешается от Сайленсера. И в контратаку сейчас пойдут Vici Gaming. У них есть РП. У них есть РП. Ставится Ремнант, не дает отступить. Virtus.Pro вынужден разворачиваться драться. Дивая можно попробовать забрать. Дивай живет, Дивай отступает. Дивай забрать не получается. РП в одного только Рейзер. Ну как же много урона залетает. При нем пошел глобал, который только что откатил у Сайленсера. Зацепили Бристлбека. Бристлбек пытается как-то уйти. Нет, разворачивает его Пугна. Пытается перекинуть. Ну как же много урона. У Тини нет, он живет. Он живет, хотя КП остается совсем мало. Nightfall'у нужно спасаться отсюда. Уйдет.
И да, Virtus.Pro не смогли здесь нормально подраться в очередной раз. 4000 преимущества у Vici Gaming. такое ощущение, как будто они и дальше готовы сражаться, но побаиваются. Идти надо вовремя успокоиться, 22-я минута, Бристлбэк по-прежнему сильный, не так просто с ним справиться. Торопиться Vici Gaming некуда, это как раз Virtus.Pro здесь на таймере, и это в их интересах сражаться.
Честно сказать, вот даже не знаю, что ВП сейчас будут делать,
понимаешь,
потому что уже тяжело.
Вот когда ты в доту играешь, у тебя очень полезно иметь какой-то план. Да, вот, допустим, играешь ты на Магнусе. То есть ты такой думаешь, хорошо, кого мне дать РП, в каких случаях я должен там скивер нажать, что нужно мне сделать в такой ситуации, в этой. И у ребят должно быть просто присутствовать некий скрипт в голове, который говорит, Шейкер потратил фиссуру, на меня напали, я просто жму ТП. Мне наплевать, у вас нечем сбивать фиссуру. И это будет происходить раз от раза, если Шейкер тратит фиссуру.
Вот бы какой-нибудь Юльчик. Или Атосик. Да, вот возможно на Фениксе или Юльчик, или Атосик, вот что-нибудь из такого хорошо бы смотрелось. Феникс покупает себе Лотус, и ты не можешь сказать, что он не прав в этой ситуации, потому что Лотус тут тоже хорош. В чем он не прав?
Да, в чем он не прав, собственно. Но это открывает тебе одни возможности, закрывает другие.
ВП заходит на Рошана, Найтфол должен его забрать, правда рядом находится Сайленсер, цепляют его неплохо. Смоук тут же нажимают Vici Gaming, Дивай забирают его. У него есть байбэк, если что, и Глобал совсем скоро откатит. Рошан уже практически забрал.
Вот это как раз то, что должны были
делать. Кентавр заходит, видит Найтфола, дает стан. Сейчас будет снайпер, заливать ультимейтом. Да, на это делает очень много урона. Рошан падает, забирает Аегис, Найтфол пытается Элевен отсюда уехать, просто уезжает. Ори очень больно, у него нет ремнантов, поднимается Айрул, подходит Пуйойо, Пуйойо засыпает гречкой, выбивает пока что только Аегис разор, вешает на него привязку очень неплохо. Ори, должны здесь забрать Ори, еще немного. Да, Ори заковыряли, Пуйойо делает телепорт и улетает, ну это мы уже видели один раз.
Шейкер в таверне, стана никакого больше Virtus.Pro нет, Дивай пытается уйти, Virtus.Pro его чейзит, пытается как-то догнать, все, уже там сопелька прилетел, Дивай, он может тоже, конечно, ТП нажмет, но
нет, у него ХП маловато.
У него ХП маловато, и телепортация вроде как была в кулдауне, да, Virtus.Pro. Они вот это должны были сделать в предыдущем игровом моменте. Как только вы забрали Сайленсера, у вас появляется небольшое тайминговое окно, пойти на Рошана и забрать Рошана. Что-то постеснялись или недооценили свои силы.
У Магнуса не было РП, оно только сейчас откатывает, поэтому он не смог там ничего сделать, законтролить Бристлбэка, увести его. Ну и Рошана все-таки добили Virtus.Pro, забрали Аегис, правда этот Аегис тут же был выбит. С одной стороны, ВП отыграли 4000, это очень круто. С другой стороны, Рошана сейчас нет. Как давить на Vici Gaming, не совсем понятно. У них откатывают их ключевые спылы.
БКБшками, у Разора БКБшка, у Найтфола скоро БКБшка. Мы так много с тобой говорим о герое Найтфола, что вот он так привязан к каким-то таймингам, но он же не один здесь играет. У него Разор есть, хорошая подкрепа, ладно, у него был бы какой-то там маг на центре, ну типа Пак или вот чего-то такого подобного. Но Разор отлично скейлится в лейт, и он отлично работает против Тини, поэтому рано, наверное, все-таки хоронить Virtus.Pro здесь с их драфтом. Смотрим дальше.
Тини Шард, Тини Сильвер, Сабля и делает блокинг.
Слушай, а там еще и Волк ходит. Можно, пожалуйста? Ага, так. 296 плюс 100, плюс 294. Понятненько.
Почти ДД.
Завезли баланс в доту.
Слушай, вот и доминатор, пожалуйста, прямо у Вичи все очень хорошо стакается. Но ВП все еще имеет шансы их снести.
БКБшки имеются. У Бристлбэка тоже хороший стаки по урону со счету ультимейт своего на самом деле. Он тоже бьет очень больно. Нужны какие-то вот, да, керасы, там, может, башер какой-то, вот, чтобы в лейте разбираться. С Инжендьяша появляется отличный предмет. Найдет Элевена, собьет ему, по идее, Блинк сейчас, да? Блинк сбивается, Элевен сразу же перегруппировывается, Дивая убивает, Бристлбэк просто нереально круто врывается под Т2-вышку, убивает ключевого героя. Обидно, что БКБ, правда, нашел.
Да, минус блокинг бар. Без сайленсера, конечно, неприятно, но, опять же, это саппорт пятерка.
Да.
И без блокингвара тоже очень сложно. У Void Spirit куча магии, у Snapfire очень много. Тини с этим волком ходит, у него и магии, и физики.
Он уже больше полагается, наверное, именно на физический урон. Ему там Avalanche Toss нужен, чтобы поддизейблить героя, чтобы как раз на 2 раза.
Выход на центральную линию, сайленсера нет, глобала нет, но очень аккуратно играет Ори, не подставляется, ВП опять не успевают. Они так оккупировали вражеский лес, но не получается из этого извлечь какие-то дивиденды.
Найтфол бежит вперед, Шейкер далеко. Да. Можно заметить Элевена здесь. Элевен также понимает, что ему нужно будет блинкаут делать. Подцепили
Ой-ой-ой, какой урон от Тини, колоссальный. Шейкер не смог ворваться, сбивает ему Блинк 11, пытается сбить Супернову, Супернову сбивают. Тем временем Шейкер здесь с Магнусом возится, пытается отступить, дотянуться до PYW погибает. Ой-ой-ой, какие же тычки.
3195.
Это жесть, Магнус, РП цепляет Рейзера. У Рейзера, кажется, уже нет блокинг-бара, нет, он нажимает БКБ, он нажимает. Ну как много урона, и высосать это просто невозможно. Разор погибает, и кажется, это решающая драка в этой серии.
Да, не получается шейкером, да, не получается шейкером нормально подстанить, как-то засетапить драку как следует. Врываются первыми именно Vici Gaming. То ли позицию Virtus.Pro не очень хорошая, то ли они стоят как-то неправильно. Сложно сказать, конечно.
Я
но...
повтор бы посмотрел. Смотри на шейкера. А нет,
он выдал эхослэм вот на...
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Double damage!
As you're on Nightfall the rest move, they have got vision on this tiny Nightfall. See if he can chase down Poyoyo.
He's holding BKB.
He is. He's still got ways to get out of there. Cookie as well. Jumps him back to safety. They keep it cool. Vici Gaming. Or he's actually looking for the wrap around on the back lines. Jumps in straight away on to save. The kiss is coming out from the high ground.
Не удается, уводят Шейкера отсюда. Приступок уже практически без лица. Тини продолжает махать дубиной. Как же больно. Как же больно делает Йо-Йо.
Да, и вот с этими БКБшками, конечно, вообще непонятно, что делать. Virtus.Pro, они тоже БКБ купили, но там ведь есть просто-напросто РП. То есть тебя могут задизейблить как-то в этих бэкбарах. Бристлбэка вообще стараются просто игнорировать последних тимфайтов. Его убивают там третьим, четвертым. Супернов каких-то хороших мы тоже пока что не видели. И самое главное, мы не видели крутых эхослэмов.
Problematic, as we said, from VP.
7k lead now, back for Vici Gaming. That sort of old Roshan escapade that the VP were able to hit back with. Nothing more than a distant memory here in this game. Gaming back with full control.
And look, the Alpha Wolf again. It's just sticking with Poyoyo. Empower plus Alpha Wolf looks pretty balanced on Tiny. Look at this. I mean, it is. He almost two-shotted a Bristleback.
Yeah.
That was without the Alpha Wolf, where two is still up top.
I mean, what do you do? What do you do against it?
He's definitely going to need some armor on the Bristle, because right now I still only see him with like 14. So I think he's got to get a little bit more to counteract some of that damage. He's just going straight for S and Y for the time being, but really needs that plate mail soon.
Волкова очень хорошо палят.
Bottom lane, Vici Gaming ready to start pushing in
как раз
themselves.
понимают,
They know
что
their
сражаться
strength
здесь
right now.
Vici Gaming уже нет никакого смысла. Центр, топ, пушит, все стараются как-то расплитить своего соперника. Хотя этим на такой минуте должны Vici Gaming заниматься, по идее, против VP.
Но уже упущено, скажем так, инициатива. Смог нажимать Vici Gaming. До следующего Рошана еще пока есть время. Vici очень хотят, да просто найти героев Virtus.Pro, подраться с ними. Находят, ой, какой шикарный РП! Как же больно делает Пуёя! Моментально -2, тем временем Ори находит еще двух героев, пошел глобал, это -3, это -4, остается только ГПК. ГПК нажимает телепорт.
Под БКБшкой, да, и под БКБшкой эту телепортацию как не знаю, наверное, Vici Gaming более чем довольны таким разменом. Пожалуйста, таким разменом маны. Разменом маны на героев, да, получается. Аванпост перехватывается. Прекрасный РП от Old Eleven. Мы видим здесь комбинации с Тини работает безупречно. Там со спины там напал Void Spirit, подцепил героев. Никто просто отсюда не уходит вообще.
Да, вот у нас там сидит в аналитике Солоч. Любили они в свое время написать в таких случаях ГГ, чтобы не минус моралиться, потому что, честно сказать, на этой карте я даже не знаю, кто будет камбэчить. Очень тяжело будет. Контроль через БКБ, контроль по площади. Тини, который за 2 удара уничтожает Бристлбэка, Разора, а это самые крепкие герои. Что дальше?
Да, против Кэрри Тини очень сложно отыгрывать. Особенно еще вот с такими сигнатурами классными для этого патча. На
Спайдер пытается вывести, не вывозит. Можно еще раз Нетворса посмотреть? Помимо всего прочего, это еще и 21 тысяча Нетворса. Он опережает Разора на 5.
У такого героя, как Тини, мне кажется, просто-напросто нет недостатков, если думаться. Он линию стоит хорошо, фармит быстро. В начальной игре прокаст имеется. В лейте очень сильный, урона много.
Я думаю, это смог последней надежды. Они куда-то идут, глобал нет, РП нет, это последний шанс попасть в какой-то...
Тут Рошан может быть, по идее, скоро может заспавниться, то есть там рандомный таймер уже должен появиться, и ВП просто ищут какого-то пикофа, вот Eleven, как Слэм, вот вроде неплохо, но Рошана нет, еще довольно долго. ВП, может быть, побегут сейчас туда, будут чекать по Йою, видит ГПК, здесь будет ли нападать, смотрим.
Не рискует, Эмпауэр не хочет рисковать.
Ну, можно БКБ вывести, смотри, тиммейты подходят, пошел прокат, разок практически погибает.
Или погибает. По Йою.
Тиммейты подходят уже.
Тиммейты подходят, но тиммейты по Йою тоже подходят. Это Void Spirit. Долго летит, отменяет ТП в итоге. У Магнуса откатывает РП, 50 секунд его не будет, но таймер Рошана мы прекрасно видим. Магнус успеет резнуться, прийти в драку. Сейчас ВП бы еще один минус сделать какой-нибудь.
Вот пока Магнуса нет, да. Даже какой-нибудь маленький, вот просто сайленс разобрать, который там стоит без ХП совершенно, может как-то удастся на него ворваться, но...
Кусочек откусить.
Нет вообще возможности, вижена никакого.
Nightfall пошел.
Бежит вперед, байтит своего соперника, мол, давайте, ребята, кидайте скиллы в меня, но Vici Gaming-то и готовы скинуть скиллы, да только вот Магнуса им подождать.
У них Крип стоит в рушпите и все прекрасно видит, что там нет никакого Рошана, что...
Торопиться некуда, реально. Принимать эту драку нет никакого смысла для Vici Gaming.
Да, вот такая вот карточка у нас, но шутили мы после первой серии, что...
I think they're starting to feel the game's getting a little out of control. They have to know exactly where the Tiny is in all situations. They have to know when there's any vision on them, because if VP doesn't start the fight with Bristleback charging in, Razor linking, and it's actually Vici who starts it, I think the fights are just going to easily be Vici's every single time. So they have to have a good vision, good control of vision in this game to be able to get those initial jumps.
Которую они проводили, она может решить все. Появляется Лотус, который будет кидаться на Тине, чтобы из него не высасывали урон.
Да, многое решится на следующем Рошане, если честно. Вот его как раз появляется, да. Там должен быть шарт, который... Ну, есть кому отдать.
Vici wants to take the fight now.
Есть, но Магнуса нет. Магнуса отдадут.
Как раз либо Магнус, либо Снэпфайр. Это прекрасный герой для того, чтобы шардом играть. Дабл дэмэдж активирует Ори.
Ну хорошо, хотя бы не
собирается здесь драться. Их можно понять, сложно все-таки, да, в чистом поле. Под Рошана как-то сражаться. Смотри, как быстро Рошан падает.
А потом будет сложно сражаться против Аегиса.
Не, ну на хайграунде как-нибудь, может быть, там всосется разор, фисурка, там. Мне кажется, Феникса что-то может получиться. Надо его принять, конечно, если стоишь под 4 вышками и ждешь, пока враг допустит по ошибку, он тебе действительно слал так очень быстро. Проблема в том, что Магнусу везет. То есть в таких ситуациях, когда ты играешь на керри Bristleback, ты просто выходишь вперед. По миду говоришь, парни, вот он я, попробуйте забрать мид. А Магнус тебе говорит, давай, бро, к нам. И с кивером его увозят просто через полкарты, и там его убивают.
Eleven очень хорошо играет. Вот я на него продолжаю наговаривать раз за раз, а он говорит, нет, это все в прошлом, и продолжает круто исполнять эту игру без особых ошибок.
Ну, игры разные бывают. Иногда там немножко неудачный у тебя лайнап на ранней стадии игры, может быть, герой немножко, может что-то просто не пошло, и ты начинаешь спотыкаться на каждом муве. Но здесь, по крайней мере, у Eleven все в порядке.
Разор купил сатаник. Ой-ой-ой, ГПК присасывается к Пуёю, но урона очень много нажимает, сатаник бьет. Урона просто не может высадить Eleven. Eleven идет до конца, дает РП, уводит Бристлбэка. Бристлбэк продолжает гулять, прямо в спину. Его избивает, подкидывает собственного Eleven, хотя Супернова может взорваться, Супернова взрывается. Но уже двух героев нет. По-моему, Vici Gaming уже на пофиг жмут кнопки. Уже в спину Бристлбэка, РП в одного, а БК все равно ничего не может.
Слишком много дэмэджа. И даже если в какой-то момент вдруг внезапно Virtus.Pro эту драку начали выигрывать, у них нет шейкера, чтобы остановить телепорт. Просто он умирает очень быстро. Его постоянно находят в инвизе. Это синий, постоянно в него вливает скиллы. Шейкер не может так слэм нормально выйти. Максимум на ганге со смоков, смотрим на героя.
Бристлбэку уже повезли. Очень больно. Очень больно. Пуёю нажимает сатаник и забирает. Да. Нереальный урон, абсолютно. 86 секунд. Virtus.Pro сидят.
This bottom rack's not going to stand a chance, of course, against the hard hits of Poyo.
Сидят, конечно, будут до конца, скорее всего, отыгрывать эту игру.
Я понял, что они не вышли еще пока искали. Я к тому, что как у них там настроение.
Ну, по камерам можно посмотреть, я не знаю.
Потому что все игроки ВП, наверное, вот DM собран,
да, серьезно играет.
Я просто вижу,
что он может
Тини пробили его здесь, кстати говоря, неплохо, но это так, он все контролирует, у него же еще Аегис имеется. Сатаник, стычка, какой глиф неудачный, после того, как пачка уже погиб. Хотя, с другой стороны, здесь может быть бэкдор включен,
вот Пугна, когда начинает высасывать хитпоинты, как-то не очень приятно под декрипом, да, как мы видим.
Тини высасывает хитпоинты из барака. Заберут сейчас Пуёя, но это будет только первая смерть. Пуёя погибает. Есть везде, опять ничего не успел сделать.
Он со спины выдал фиссуру, запер Тини, и из-за этого его убили один раз. Но теперь что делать? Пуёя убили только единожды, он спавнится, а вот Шейкер уже ближайшие 40 секунд на этой карте не появится, а бараки в него упадут.
Да. Тини просто использует сатаник для того, чтобы выйти из декрипа. Ну, а что, почему бы и нет?
Да, ему ничто не угрожает, когда двух героев нет на карте.
Continue to look harder and harder for this Bristle and Razor to do much of anything.
25 тысяч преимущества.
I mean, they've even started like picking up the play mails and stuff like that.
Наши ребятки просто
the sheer damage that's coming out from Vici is just
внушают сопернику уверенность, что потом, когда он расслабится...
Тактическая заливная, так
да.
Как Спирит первый карте. Только Спирит ошиблись, выиграли первый.
Надо было все-таки проиграть.
Ideally, the way they want to play, the way they have throughout the tournament with this Bristleback is he ideally just becomes unkillable because they have these heals that come out, but you can't, even if you have the Lotus Orbs, it doesn't matter.
На двойного урона в топе.
Ну-ка, сейчас рекорды смотрим. Волка, правда, нет, но...
Ему боту передадут, мы так сразу не увидим.
Потом увидим. Ну, я могу и так сказать, что это будет потому что ему добавится 343.
Ну, может быть, там еще с доминатора какого-то там подцепят еще. Может, еще шмоточка какая-то появится.
Я думаю, 1000 ему хватит.
Ему и сейчас хватает, если честно. Того
смотрим. Одна из последних драк. Какой Юл великолепный. Но, тем не менее, за контроль не заходит Тини. Тини шикарно от Магнуса. Тини делает 3-4 удара и забирает всех хоров команды Virtus.Pro. Остается здесь только Найтфол. Найтфол погибает. 1700 крит ему влетает в спину. ВП отступают и пишут good game. Да, это было слишком жестко. Virtus.Pro не смогли одолеть китайскую команду в первой игре.
Да, наверное, у наших ребят все было хорошо, только где-то первых минут...
Maybe all three of his deaths were relatively early in the game. VP had his number, but it didn't really seem to matter because VP couldn't capitalize on anything big. They got the rush, but they lost their agent immediately because of the way Vici responded, and Vici was always kind of ahead in gold in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty scary showing from Vici Gaming. I mean, as we say, that it was clear to us, and I think clear to Vici Gaming, you know, what VP wanted to do with their timings. And, you know, we have seen VP, they are a very versatile team. There's a lot of different ways they can approach Dota. I don't think this sort of approach is going to work against Vici Gaming, especially if you're letting them get through the caliber of heroes that Vici Gaming got through with this lineup.
Vici's seen this before. They adapted. Insania was the one who called that, like, silencer and everything too, so I think VP might have to bring back a new strategy.
I think so. Well, we'll see whether they're able to change up in Game 2, but as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, Vici Gaming with a very impressive Game 1 victory against VP.
Well, we just saw the end of game number 1, and on this panel, we had 2 VP bandwagoners and 1 Vici believer.
Gods, why are you so right?
I think that game, we saw VP not really play to their strengths a bit. I feel like they're meant to be the team that really tries to dominate that early to mid-game stages, and the Bristle, I guess, they had this right idea where their timings come online faster, but it just felt a bit too passive at times.
I feel that in this patch, you either pick Tiny, ban Tiny, or there's no way that you play against him with a draft that isn't good against him. And I don't feel that Bristleback is the right hero against a Tiny position 1. sincerely, if nothing else, because of the item build that he goes for. You're always building that Echo Saber and Silver Edge, and eventually you come to the situation that happened in this game in which Tiny, he's 3-4 shotting you in one single RP with that Empower. It was not only that, you're playing Bristleback into Void Spirit who's turning you, so you're always taking damage from up front. You're playing versus a Silencer that's constantly reapplying Curse. It truly wasn't an easy game for a Bristleback position 1.
Silencer did 13k damage. That's a lot for a Silencer.
I think 13k, 12k was dealt to Bristleback because he... Is it? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit surprised that they decided to pick Phoenix into Snapfire and also Bristleback into Silencer. Kingslayer was a bit surprised how seems like dive work once there's a last word used on him, because he did a full dive and was like, maybe I'll stop. Whoops. Come back to the end and dies. Silence. You can't use the egg. They needed Lotus Orb. They needed Lotus Orb fast, but if you're not making any moves, no one's going to, like, position 4 and 5, they can't get the gold and you can't get it.
You know, while I was looking at the stats, and while I'm usually not a fan of looking at KDA, one thing I did notice popped up was Silencer actually hadn't died that much. And usually you see this hero as I pop Global Silence, I'm ready to die, it doesn't matter, they're going to jump me first. Was that a problem?
I'll tell you straight away why. He wasn't dying that much because you aren't playing versus a mid laner that can make plays. You're playing versus a Razor. They picked a Razor because of a matchup, and I believe that GPK, he needs to be the flashy playmaker on his team side, on the side of Virtus.Pro. If he isn't, they literally had one stunt as the Shaker. The moment you use it, we've seen so many team fights in which a hero just TPs away. That's it. You get fissured.
I like how at one point Vici Gaming realized they have one stun. If Shaker is showing on the map, we can be on a different side of the map, farm up. This is exactly how this team has been playing through the history, and just TP out if it gets to that point where you feel you are in danger. There was very nicely timed Global Silence to disrupt any Earthshaker combination. One thing that always bothered me about the Global Silence is how can you cast the Global Silence if the Earth is flat? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. God gave me the look.
Moving on. There's
Move on.
Earthshaker who roams around the earth. Yeah. I want to talk about a different point on it. I don't know how to segue off that. I want to talk about a different point here, which is Gods, you talked about how VP might have not played their cards really right there, but I kind of want to discuss their approach, because we talk about Vici as this methodical team, right? This team that doesn't let you make any mistakes. And VP tends to have a draft that is like one strength and a couple of weaknesses that they just cover up. Is that the right approach against Vici Gaming?
I think for VP, they need to not over-prioritize the lanes. You mentioned, Lizard mentioned the Razor pick and what that does to your draft, where it's like, okay, we're going to win the lane, but these mid-heroes that lose their lane slightly always seem to catch up, and then they're making plays. This Void Spirit was pairing off with the Snapfire. That's what Vici Gaming did really well as far as their strengths go. They hit level 6 on Snapfire, would be hiding in the trees, Void Spirit jumps in on someone and just gets a kill with the Mortimer's Kisses. Again and again, that would happen. So I think for VP, they need to figure out heroes that enable their early game, but not just based on the laning stage.
I know, Lizard, you have some inside knowledge of the inner workings of VP particularly, right? I know you knew some of the older players in the org and how they think as well.
So I have no idea about how this new squad is working, because they call themselves or find themselves the new generation. They don't really
like a K-pop group, yeah.
Yeah, they don't really accept a lot of advices from the old squad, from the old players, and even though there's a lot of the Russian side definitely believes in the squad, thinks that they can go far, but they worry that when they match up versus these Chinese teams that they played once or twice in their whole career, this fact that they aren't able to take advice from the oldies might come as a detriment.
So you think that might be leading to this someone's lack of versatility we see?
I'm not sure. I even feel that maybe something has changed. That's how I felt during the group stage. But as Lacoste said, it looks like they have changed quite a bit in the playstyle recently.
They did, yeah.
Definitely. And this Bristleback, even though they have picked it before, it's not the go-to hero.
Right.
And it's very reminiscent of the No One era, when the Virtus.Pro would always put that Bristle on mid lane and just dominate with it.
Against Vici Gaming, maybe they need to go back the way they've been playing the day 1 and day 2. Because they've been super aggressive. They didn't care about any cooldowns. It's just, you know, the classic, we're going to run at you, Dota. And it was successful. It was chaotic. They had a bit of issues closing out the games because they could not hit the tier 3 towers. That's the lineup that they had, but maybe adjust that kind of a lineup, put in some Dragon Knight, put in possibly a Pugnut that they've been using the last 3-4 days of the group stage, and go from that.
And I feel like Vici really prepared well for VP because right from their first ban, they banned Dawnbreaker, one of the VP's heroes they did the worst on, if anything. But I think the style of play that VP have around Dawnbreaker, it is that run at you. I think Vici Gaming is like, we're going to lose to VP if we let them play this style where they're just running at us, have all these heroes that are super active early on just based on levels, and they recognize it. So they're willing to ban a hero like Dawnbreaker that they're unfamiliar with because it just suits VP's playstyle so well.
And what Gods is referring to is actually the strat they used to run with Dawnbreaker, Darkseer, and Bounty Hunter, where like the 3 core ideas there, where they, as you said, just run at you. And they've run Dawnbreaker in that draft with in a carry position and a 5, so maybe that flex also scares them a bit.
Now, that's the Eastern mentality. The analysts back there also call it, if you don't know what to do, just smoke. Just run at them. And if you're fast enough, it's going to work. And that's what they're doing. And Dawnbreaker enables it because you have a carry that's not necessarily needed in any of team fights. He's all alone on one side of the map. Meanwhile, when you're fighting on the other, he uses his ulti, joins you, and it's very easy to make plays that way.
So what other heroes could we be seeing that enables that playstyle? What
I want to see GPK from something that can make plays. You know, even though he was very active on Razor in game number 1, it's still a Razor. They put themselves on a timing, considering you have a Bristleback and you have a Razor. These heroes will scale. Because I was talking to Brian BSJ in our green room, and it feels like no matter what item Razor decided to go for, or if you had another item, it wouldn't really make the difference in this game. So I don't like that you put yourself in a spot where you can't win the game often, like getting a big item. Like you're hitting that timing. Their first big timing was getting a Blink Dagger on Earthshaker, BKB on Razor, and getting a Vanguard, maybe half another item on Bristleback, and Vici shut them down.
One is playmaking. Could we be seeing GPK Storm, perhaps? I know it's a fan favorite, Lizard.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid one. He had a little bit of a rough time coming into the competitive scene with that Storm, but eventually he really got good at him. I wouldn't mind seeing Storm. Yesterday we've seen a couple of series even open up with the first phase Storm. Now, I'm not sure if Virtus.Pro is that good with the hero itself to first phase him, but sure, any sort of a spirit, I'd be satisfied.
They played Storm, Io, and Bane against Aster, and it was 2 games in a row, and it was super successful because Storm Io combo works similar to old Chen plus Storm, where Io's TPing, refilling your bottle, especially if he finds a trusty shovel, and keep feeding you with mangoes, feeding you with clarities, and you can just have full mana run around the map. And also Bane was a core of that lineup where he was setting things up, saving people. You have a BKB piercing ability. It was a top-notch performance, and I want to see something similar against the Vici Gaming.
Okay, we get to see the teams coming out now right into their booths. As we discuss them a bit, right? They're getting ready. I want to discuss actually one thing about Virtus.Pro particularly. This team mentality plays a big part, and we know now that they have a coach whose sole purpose, they told us ex-basketball coach or basketball player who's now coaching
So they got that one especially for TI.
Right.
But the coach that they do have, the one that we've seen just enter the booth with them, is Bulk. And he's been the part of the old Virtus.Pro squad as well. Yes. They got him specifically after they lost completely at the Singapore Major, because everyone, the whole scene was asking them, what are you guys doing? Your drafts aren't looking that great. Right. You're at the Major. You're crushing us at the regionals, but here it's obvious that you might need a coach to help you out.
Yeah, Bulk was coaching Gambit back in the days when Gambit had a really good squad, and I think they needed to get someone to actually, help them out a bit with the draft. Because if you look the way they play, the individual skill of Virtus.Pro players is out of the roof. Like they're insanely skilled, and sometimes they decide to dive tier 4 towers when it's not necessary. So you need someone to guide them, I think, a bit more during the draft, and seeing Bulk help them with that quite a lot, like he's the one sitting at the PC, kind of makes me happy.
On the Vici side, you've got Fenrir, who is probably one of the the biggest Dota 2 veterans as well. The famous F5 Fenrir support duo lasted for many, many years, had a lot of success winning LAN tournaments, majors, never quite had the success they're hoping for at TI, but they are one of the kind of, he is one of the kind of most experienced 5 positions and now coaches when it comes to Vici Gaming.
And they have experienced players as well, right? When you think about Ori and DY, they were a part of that great minor, Starladder minor into the Stockholm major, into the Epicenter major run.
And they've been playing together for 3 years now, since like 2018 when DY joined. Their mid Ori, he goes back to like 2017, so it's pretty rare for these players to like stick around on the same team for like 4 years. But Ori has always been that solid, stable mid laner. At times, like really flashy, but he knows how to get the job done when it comes to Vici.
Yeah, Ori struggled a bit during season 1, which me and Lizard noticed because we worked the Chinese DPC season 1. At the start of the season 2, you could feel him play much better. Felt like the old Ori, the more confident one. And here at the international, he's showing, what he's made of.
So you think that Ori is performing back to what you expect?
Oh, for sure. This was I was just about to ask him the same thing because I wanted to talk about it. Ori at the seasons was constantly rescued by DYPYW. It was their job pretty much, lane a little bit and then go salvage the mid lane. That's literally what was happening game after game. However, Ori definitely has improved quite a bit. It's not that he was bad before, he just had a small slump after that 2018 and 19 run.
And what we've seen at this TI in particular is that with Ori, they're not picking him like the strong lane, they're picking him the hero that's going to be strong in the game. Often Vici Gaming don't have the best laning stage, but that's just how they win games. They sit back, they wait for their timings, they wait for that moment when their opponents overstep or make a mistake, and it's usually more in the mid to late game. So they're not worried about how his lane goes as much as other teams.
And this is something that I feel is necessary for a long time now as well. You can't just dominate the lanes anymore, especially when it comes to the mid lane. The side lane's all right, but mid lane, you have so many runes. You have the bounty, the water runes,
the bottle refills.
Even if you dominate, it's not going to be as detrimental as before in a way that you can't make a comeback.
So then, is Vici capable of elongating games simply because the meta allows it to right now, or are they doing something special? And if so, what?
This team just take it slowly. They do not want to rush things. If it's needed, they will stay in their base, farm up for 20 minutes. They will not go and get picked off. And this is the strength of the team, realizing what needs to be done. Their late game decision making, I think, is one of the best ones so far.
Okay.
Like historically, what they do is just wait, even if it's need to wait for another Roche. Even if they're ahead, they will build up that advantage and then go for the one last push.
I would say it's not totally passive at the same time. Like we saw last game, they made plays, but they're always plays in response to VP. Like around the bottom tier on tower, VP would go pressure a tower, feeling like they've got this early game timing, and Vici Gaming would do these really nice setups where they defend their tower with a good initiation, follow up. I mentioned like the Void Spirit jumps in with the Mortimer's Kisses. They weren't just giving away towers and playing a farm game. They were reacting to what VP did. But
it's a complete opposite to what VP was doing in the group stages. They would dominate the lanes. They would be. There's a reason why every team says that these are the strongest opponents in scrims. Like when you talk to different players in scrims, they're really damn tough to beat. At the main stage, it becomes a little bit easier because of the nerves and whatnot. But you could see even in the group stage, they take the lanes and then they're just diving. The tier 2 is still alive. They're diving tier 3s, tier 4s, and then they just throw that way. So I'm happy that you can see that Virtus.Pro has actually also improved in that manner.
Yeah. So you think, I mean, compared to the other events, they've certainly improved. But do you think they're still struggling with the pressure to a degree, just because of their playstyle?
I would say that they've improved in that way as well, especially because of the confidence and the heroes that they're picking. As long as they go with their own playstyle.
Yeah, they need some confidence if they want to win game 2.
Well, let's see what happens in game 2 as we get started.
Vici Gaming versus Virtus.Pro. Game 2.
Welcome back to the draft panel. I've got Effie and Insania joining us. And first of all, what went wrong with VP's draft in the first round?
I think VP had the timing they needed to play for, and I think they didn't really manage to capitalize on the timing enough, and that's kind of why they ended up, eventually getting outscaled by the Tiny. And I think when you play Bristleback, like getting those stacks going is really important. I think his laning phase was slightly too poor for where they needed him to be for this specific game.
Do you think they're going to learn from it this time around, Effie?
I think so for sure. The issue with Vici as a team, or playing against them rather, is that they have so much experience, specifically when it comes to the late game. And if they pick something like a tiny Magnus, where they know they're going to hit this timing later and outscale their enemy team, that's dangerous territory. If you're going to play for the early mid game the way that VP wanted to with their Bristle as their win condition, you can't make mistakes, right? And one of the key heroes in slowing down Bristleback's game was obviously Silencer. It just felt like a great game for him. And they just couldn't get the Lotus Orbs in time even.
Is this just history about to repeat itself?
You mean the drafts?
Yeah.
I would imagine VP is going to take a different approach. Generally speaking, I think when you play a timing draft and it doesn't really work out for you, you actually learn a lot about your opponents because you realize where their strengths lie and where they're willing to fight you and how they're going to try to approach the game. So I think for VP, they might have a more directed draft this time around. You saw last game, they had a very flexible draft where they had a lot of options of how they want to set up their lanes, what heroes they want to look to pick it towards the end. And I think this game, they might have more of a idea of like, how do we deal with the specific heroes that we're going up against.
But one thing they seem to lack was stuns.
VP, yeah.
Yeah, VP.
But typically, you don't always need stuns in Dota. When you have something like a Bristleback who's just going to keep running heroes down, you can play around it. But I didn't necessarily feel like the lack of stuns was an issue. It was just some key decisions and some timings being missed, right? And obviously some very good fights by Vici.
And now they've stolen the silence.
Yeah, so now you see the adaptation coming into play, right? You play the first game, you kind of see what it is Vici wants to do. And I think they've identified that Vici Gaming wants to play around their team fights. This is going to be like the big thing. One of the big things about Silencer, right, is you can purge off the ultimate. So you try to look for heroes that don't really buy items that purge. And if you think of Magnus, this hero wants to ideally go some sort of blink into the shard, maybe even Aetherlands like we saw in the last game. But this is going to force him to spend 2,800 gold on his Yules, which will slow down his timings in the game. And you can always cancel the Snapfire ultimate.
Agreed. The same goes for Snapfire. She doesn't particularly enjoy building something like an early Lotus or something like a Yules. But Vici just really enjoyed the basics of Dota heroes, right? So they understand that having teamfight ultimates are strong. So they pick that in Magnus and Snapfire. And Snapfire has a very strong laning phase, so she provides that for them too. And Vici are comfortable picking 11's hero in the first phase, as we mentioned last panel. And they just really liked how Magnus worked for them. So they just snapped it up already before VP could ban it out. And just that comfort and that experience is nice to see coming out of Vici.
Knowing about the global silence ultimate on Silencer, does that mean that Vici maybe have to rethink some of their picks and go for something that's more physical damage based?
I think you definitely have to rethink and like kind of plan for it because it's one of those heroes where if you play heroes that don't have answers for it, if you don't have a hero that either naturally buys some sort of purge or you're playing a hero that doesn't really get affected by the silence, just to give some examples, carries like Tiny or Wraith King, where you don't really care too much about the silence. It's annoying, but nowhere near the same as if you're playing maybe some Invoker or a Queen of Pain or something like that. So you're probably looking more at heroes that naturally are going to buy the items that are good against Silencer that want them anyway. So you're thinking like heroes that want to buy Yules regardless of what they're playing up against. Like for example, Void Spirit would be on that list. And you see VP are targeting a lot of the carry heroes that don't really care about the Silencer. Like the Terrorblade, for example, you pop Metamorphosis and then you're at full power. You don't need your 3 other spells for the 5 seconds that you're silenced.
Also, another way to deal with Silencer is to just kill him first, because his weakness is he's very squishy. Like we saw in yesterday's Elephant versus EG game, they do go for a Silencer, and he just kept getting jumped by the Void Spirit and the Night Stalker, and really didn't feel like he could have that much of an impact in the game. And Ori is a player who's famous for playing these pucks and these voids and these spirit heroes. So they're probably just going to look to do something like that and just try to take fights on vision where they can go on Silencer. It doesn't necessarily have to be only about dispels, but that is the crux of picking heroes around him.
Does that mean, though, that Silencer can now be like a weight around the necks of the rest of the Virtus.Pro players? Could be a bit of a liability.
It could be. I think VP are trying to adjust like you said, the vision, right? You see Spectre banned out, you see Monkey King banned out. They're trying to like cover for it. They're trying to make sure that the Silencer can play his game. I think one of the best ways to just enable heroes that really require good positioning is by making sure that you take the first step. So I think while Airshaker can be a hero that starts fights, I would like VP to draft more initiation and try to make sure that they can take like the pacing to Vici, which I think they tried in game 1, but maybe have more of a fallback, but have a 4-man that's really strong that they can apply pressure with.
Agreed. And just one more thing to note about Silencer is just he's really great at pressing global if Magnus does RP or something like that, right? So if Magnus sees a jump and it's far away from his team, if you can stop him from the skewer back, that's pretty much a wasted ultimate. So Magnus is going to have to itemize differently this game. It's going to be a hindrance for him for sure. But Clockwork, that ties into what we were talking about some kind of backline jump. And he does that perfectly. This hero, as a support alone, can cover for killing the silencer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is like Vici saying, you know what, if we give initiation away to VP, we're going to be struggling at playing the game, so we need to take the first step. And Clockwork does that probably better than most heroes. He does not need a blink dagger to start fights, and he provides you with vision to find where the silencer is and like that.
A couple of things are, so Dark Willow, very good hero versus Clockwork. If he goes on her, she just kills him, right? She presses Shadow Realm and Bedlam. She's like, hey, what's up? So seriously, one of Clockwork's strengths is that he kills supports. A support that kills other supports makes so much space in a team fight open for his team. So he really can only do that for Silencer. And Medusa, there's no damage for her. There's a Clockwork, a Snap, and a Magnus. They're seriously lacking in some damage issues. And banning out the Terrorblade and the Spectre and Sector, they make so much sense now.
Yeah, and even abusing the fact that Morphling and Ursa are banned, right? These are two very high damage single target carries that are out of the pool for Vici. I think heroes like, what do you think of PL here? Think it could be good?
I think he could be good, yeah.
There's only the Shaker.
He's playing against Shaker, but they do have a clock to cover. Oh, interesting.
So this is a counter pick that we saw quite a bit at the Anti Major, where if you have these like slow, tanky frontline carries like Medusa, we saw it with Luna, you play this Drow Ranger that just outranges you and sits back and hits you from very, very far away. So the way the Drow Ranger ultimate works is basically if you're within a certain range, she loses a lot of agility and deals a lot less damage. And if you think about how Medusa teamfights, she just wants to sit in front and doesn't really have the ability to reach the backline. And VP doesn't really have those tools right now. And Global Silence, again, doesn't affect Drow, so she's very happy in this game, I think.
I completely agree with that. And a lot of the times we'll see these Medusa versus Drow or Medusa versus Luna lineups have these skirmishes around the pit. And Medusa kind of loses those because back when Luna could just Q and do damage with glaives, she would just do that over and over, and Drow has more range than Medusa. I don't think Luna wins that anymore, by the way. But basically, it's just beneficial for her. So far, the only means they have to take the fight is Earthshaker going in first. But Clockwork can just go on Earthshaker. Earthshaker's game becomes very hard. You have to build kiting and utility items on Shaker or in early BKB if you're going to play against the Clockwork. And that's going to be kind of a nuisance, right? So both of these drafts have heroes that have annoying interactions with each other.
Yeah, I think for VP, one of the problems that they need to solve now is their initiation. And generally speaking, when you get to the last pick of the draft, you want to try to have as much of your draft solved as possible. So I think they're probably not completely happy with the situation they're in, where they might be forced to pick a hero from a limited pool of heroes rather than a very wide and open pool of heroes here.
That is going to be an issue because I'm looking at this Drow's gameplay and there really isn't a hero that can go on her right now. And it's going to be a really big problem.
Is Vici's draft designed also at keeping Virtus.Pro back?
Precisely.
Given that they do like to take fights up close and try and get in your face. I don't want to use the phrase toe-to-toe. I know it's a common one in Dota, but just from what I know about Vici's lineup, it does seem like it's something they're going to be pretty comfortable with.
Yeah, so VP is going to send in like basically their supports, right, and keep the cores far back and force VP to come into them and try to fight into this Drow, because if they don't reach the Drow, she's just going to sit there and deal crazy amounts of damage from the back line.
And actually, that's where Magnus can come into play very strongly. If they go into you first, that sets up for a good RP, because your clock is going to be the one starting the fights, not the Magnus. So this Puck is a nice hero, just because there's not really anything left right now, and he can jump and coil the Drow, but it's still not enough in my opinion, because he can get gusted and he can get RP'd.
Are we thinking mid for the Puck?
It should be a mid Puck, and I think this is, from VP's side, this is, hey, we recognize that we're lacking long-range catch, and we have to solve it, but it doesn't really feel like the perfect Puck game to me. You have the hook shot into Drow Silence. There isn't like a very, very, very reliable way for Vici to kill him, but they have ways of like making this Puck's game pretty troublesome. And I think generally speaking, the Drow Ranger Silence is one of the more problematic spells for Puck to deal with. And there's a Dragonite. Perfect way to kill the Puck.
Yep, they picked the Puck counter, which is the instant stun in Dragon Tail.
Yeah.
And not just that, it's another frontline hero that can kind of body for a Drow, which is how she likes to play. She likes to have heroes that are just in first. So Vici's draft looking really good in my opinion.
Well, let's see if BSJ agrees, because we're going to head over to him right now for the last word.
Thank you, Frankie. For this game, I'd like to talk about the duration of the team fights. If you look at the VP lineup, we have Silencer, Earthshaker, Willow, Fear combo with the Puck Coil. In the first 5 seconds of that fight, most of their power is going to be exerted. Will they be able to take out one or two of the Vici Gaming heroes in this duration? If not, then they're going to be dealing with the consistent damage over time from the Drow long range as well as the DK. A lot more sustained damage from Vici. However, if Vici's missing a couple heroes, they're not going to have the damage in order to bring down this tanky Dusa from Nightfall. So how long will these fights go on, you may ask? Let's find out with OD Pixel and Fogged.
Brian, yes, game 2 now between VP and Vici Gaming. And what do you make of this, Fog? Do you look at this Medusa and feel like this is going to be able to do it? Or have they got the means to break the Medusa down?
Does feel like Vici's got a pretty good element to break down that Medusa. Also, she doesn't really have the best bodying heroes in the early game. Medusa does tend to take some time to get online, and what's her best front line in this game? It's the Shaker, and it is into the Clockwork. So if Shaker's showing his face, it's just going to be free initiations for the clock over and over again. So does feel like it's a bit of an uphill battle for VP.
Гейминг в качестве кор-героя Дровка. И сегодня уже очень много говорили о том, что Дровка, в принципе, против Медузы это выбор неплохой. Она ее пробивает. LGD вот пытались с ТБ играть. С ТБ не очень хорошо получилось. Эпилептик на нижней линии. Уже взял тут топорик себе. ГПК на паке. И, кстати, тот самый активный герой, про которого мы говорили, что вот надо что-то более такое взять интересное, убивающее, все-таки не Разора. Начинается не очень хорошо игра. ВП подрубают вард. Да, ну может быть толпа поможет, зрители, поддержка зрительская команду Virtus.Pro. Хотя, не знаю, мне кажется, им только это все не в плюс. Из отеля получалось поярче пока.
Ну, там тоже у них были провальные-то игры, на самом деле, если ты вспомнишь.
Но они вроде как, они закончили на мажорной ноте. У них был второй провальный день, но они потом выправились, и все, ничего не предвещало прям уж совсем плохого выступления. Сейф. На Фее, кстати, Фея не так часто появлялась у нас, как-то забыли совсем про этого персонажа. Хотя очень он интересный. И продолжают рейтить Шейкера. Вот Китай мы видим прям четко. Это Магнус. И с Магнусом что-нибудь, ну, например, Snapfire. Snapfire уже не первый раз. Ага. Vici Gaming понимают, что пахнет жареным, решают денайт свой вард. Нет, все-таки сначала сбить вард соперника, а теперь заденайт свой. Прям начало игры самое уже не задается. 2 варда Virtus.Pro сбивают, при этом свой вард Vici Gaming денает. Это все мелочи, конечно, но не в пользу коллективу из СНГ.
Вряд ли его кто-то бы там пошел динаить, этот вард. Точнее, ну да, разбивать. Поэтому не думаю, что в этом много смысла. Но на всякий случай, почему бы его не задинаить, чтобы врагу все-таки не досталось.
В смысле, пошел бы, они же спалили его. Пошли.
Ну тебе на линиях надо стоять, как ты ж не побежишь туда на первой минуте. Твой кэрри на первой пачке ничего там не добьет и скажет тебе: не, братан, так у нас работать связка не будет. Что хочется сказать вообще по пику Virtus.Pro на этой карте? У них и на предыдущей карте, мне кажется, все-таки была играбельная стратегия, но они там были очень сильно привязаны к таймингам, к правильным. Если они в эти тайминги не попадают, дальше сложно. Да, здесь у них больше, скажем так, окон, когда они могут своих героев реализовывать. Если игра все-таки затягивается, я не готов сказать, что пик Vici Gaming, он гораздо лучше, хотя он тоже хорош. 2 таких неплохих лейтовых героя против Медузы, есть чем бороться. Дровка — это вообще один из наиболее удобных персонажей, не скажу контрпиков, просто удобных персонажей, которыми удобно справляться с Медузой.
Ладно, Никит, давай посмотрим на исполнение, потому что это самое главное, это то, чего не хватило на первой карте. 11 на Магнусе. Да, кстати, у 11 прям очень все хорошо пошло.
То это такая Закура была интересная?
Ну, такая разминочная.
Такая, то есть вот именно оттуда она побежала, да? Угу.
Да, концентрация, ребята, нужна концентрация. 11 очень сконцентрирован как раз-таки. Он отвез подвышку в первой игре, сейчас он ждет своего момента. И опять со Snapfire на линии моментально уничтожит. Медуза-то не такой прочный герой, как Бристол. Особенно в начале. Она хлипкая, очень тоненькая.
Она хлипкая, тоненькая, но увести ее намного труднее, потому что она на рейнже стоит, героев добивает, а Бристол он все-таки в контакте в таком непосредственном с Магнусом отыгрывает.
Запомним.
А вот так вот можно, да, попытаться подвести сюда, говорит Old Eleven.
Запомнили эту фразу?
Харасить. Ну, пробивают, но не убивают здесь Найтфола, по идее.
Ой, как больно.
Да,
ну, не убивают, да. Но подвышку не довезли. Тем не менее, комбинация, как бы, от которой тяжело застраховаться, потому что Магнус делает шаг вперед, получает Fire Snap Куки, стан, потом либо подтягивает шоквейвом, либо просто отвозит. И потом еще может подтянуть шоквейвом. Короче, очень неприятная штука. ДК на центральной линии 17-6, пак 9-2.
Поменялись ребята местами, но ДК он всегда был таким главным героем, кого ты имеешь в виду, когда играешь против какого-то пака. Тебе комфортно отыгрывать против этого персонажа на всяких вот КС ориентированных, да, там Темпларка, там ДК, какой-то может быть финт с душами, когда у него души появляются на паке, не очень становится просто играть. И да, действительно, у Ори отлично, просто все отлично на старте этой карты.
Ори невероятно стабилен. Действительно, этого тоже про LGD много говорили, что там есть Манев, который остался в команде, заново все собирали. На Vici Gaming-то тоже заново все собирали, потому что у них тоже людей поуходило. У них ушел Эурус, в Elephant у них ушел Янг, в конце концов ушел Ротикей. Но, как мы видим, команда вокруг Ори собралась тоже очень хорошая. Во всяком случае, сейчас они...
I was one of those heroes also that is going to go for it, because I haven't gotten to see too much drought, to be honest with you, at this tournament. I'm actually really glad to be seeing someone taking it out versus a hero like Dusa, since it does have all those big benefits. Bottom, 11 does eat a pretty big snake there. He's going to have a salve, though.
Well, top lane, they found DM. DY, he's been able to trap him in the break his way out of it, but they've got the damage. Poyo-yo! Able to claim first blood up here. I mean, of course, this lane, it does feel like it's not really going to get that much easier for DM now that the levels have kicked in. This clockwork is going to be causing a huge nuisance for him anytime he tries to get anywhere close to the creeps or to the drought.
I really thought we were going to see every game that Shaker gets picked, just clockwork, because that's always been their response first. Inside a lane, inside of the game, you always just kind of own the hero. So we see that displayed right away. Poyo is still struggling a bit on last hit, sure, but getting that kill is massive. And we even do see DY make a quick venture on that move. He actually immediately goes after the kill and wards inside the triangle. So gets a sentry to check out if there's a ward on the high ground, and then also wards to watch when Ancients will start getting done. So they're going to have ways to contest to get on top of the Dusa if they do ever end up going for the stacks. That will not get dewarded, I can guarantee that.
Oh! GPK able to dodge the Dragon Tail stun. Does mean he has to jump under the tower to do so, though, so takes a couple of hits on the way out, and actually going to TP all the way back to base here for the reset. So
look at the net worth already, 600 behind, and he has to go back.
Yeah.
And immediately PYW shows up to mid, starts Little Shredder and Catapult. They want to get this push going. GPK starts pinging it. Think he's going to ask for help. They're going to have to rotate his support to stop this push. Otherwise, he could just lose his tower at a very early portion of the game.
Yeah,
and they can't. If they lose an early tier 1, then access point to jungle toward the Medusa is going to be so easy for Vici.
See, I mean, he's still on his own at the moment, GPK.
He needs someone to come. I see Kingslayer's running over. He didn't have a TP, so he has to make the walk.
Top lane. Making an attempt onto DY. He's got the cogs up in a couple of seconds. Some stick charges too. And they know it. They're going to stop chasing here. They know they can't catch DY, so a bit of space created for Poyo-yo there with the time that VP spend chasing the clock.
Coming in. The tower does get, I mean, it's only 550 damage actually on the tower, so a decent job by GPK to just defend it alone. Did see Kingslayer walking over, but he didn't really end up doing much of anything as bottom.
And getting aggressive onto Nightfall. Quick drag back with a shockwave, but not able to get him in position for a skewer back. And now PYW, he's got to head straight out with the TP.
Smart TP. Didn't even use his stick charges either, so he's got that for the next movement. He's got 10 on the Snapfire.
Rock it on. I mean, when GPK hits that 6, has the Dream Coil, is there, you know, what side lane is he looking to make moves in? What sort of impact can he have to sort of recover what's been a bit of a slow start against Ori's DK in the mid lane?
It also depends, because he could make the move on mid. If they do see the DK pop the 4 mid, he could ask for some rotations to the mid lane from the supports. They're going to have to bring everybody. They're going to have to bring the 2 supports and even potentially the Shaker. So it might cost them too much. So maybe he will hit a side lane, but it's not the easiest ones to hit, because Magnus is tanky.
Yeah.
The Clockwork is going to body and scout it out, and speaking of DY, almost finds DUM up top. So it's not the easiest ones, really, it seems like, for GPK to just make a clean rotation to.
No.
Because if he leaves the lane, his tower's dead.
Absolutely.
So.
Or he's going to start going to work with the Elder Dragon form back up and ready to pop yet again.
And they're even sending rockets behind the tower. DY's already scouting to see if anyone's sitting behind GPK in the mid lane.
Coming in these two again, saving DM. They try and step up for DY, but PYW has made the move over. GPK's in with the counterplay. There was solid Dream Call onto the two of them. He'll jump up to the high ground. He's got the damage to burst through DY. So GPK able to respond, gets the kill on the support. The rest will be able to back away, but something to be found there by VP.
Coils down though. PYW instantly moving toward mid to secure Rune.
Puck out! Here I am! Radiant's middle tower.
And it will spawn bottom, so GPK. Also an illusion rune. He can play around nicely with that to dodge out Dragon Tails as well.
We'll see Ori look to get a quick couple of hits in on the tower.
Keep poking it. 3,900 net worth to 3,100 already at this start. Supports both in the area. And the Medusa now, Nightfall, has opted to go for jungle. As, I mean, he kind of needs to also versus Magnus, as Mag now has his Dominator. 11's going to start pressuring tower, and already lane's starting to be a bit broken. VP starting to just farm up the jungle, which it might be a little too early. I mean, leaving the Drow just alone top. Drow having a successful laning phase is always a recipe for success for the hero.
Nightfall still showing his face bottom to try and slow down this push from the two of them. Yeah, old 11, PYW again, as we said at the start, all these heroes rather tanky, very hard for VP to make moves on.
GK does make his move top though, and we'll start pressuring that tower as well. Poyoyo, Save is trying to set up on him, but Puck is a bit far.
Nice, super deep. I mean, trying to buy some time, but the Bramble easily dodged. GPK, yeah, he knows he can't get in for a Dream Core setup. Poyoyo well and truly out of harm's way. We see in the mid lane that tier 1 tower pretty much going down. Bottom lane, that tower will fall. Out 11 takes the tier 1. Yeah, this mid lane just a few hundred HP left in on it. Ori is going to step up to try and get rid of this, and DY is watching from the tree line. This is, it's impossible for VP to defend. They're going to have to let another tower go. So 9 minutes in.
He finds Kingslayer.
Yeah, Kingslayer's walking into this. DY, he should have the damage here with the battery assault chase down. Kingslayer put the stick charges, it's not saving him. So 2 tier 1 towers, a kill's been found. Vici Gaming, they are hitting their stride very early this game.
Ooh, already a blink on Ori. They have so many different ways now to get on top of Nightfall. Just built-in ways. They have the blink on the DK, the skewer from the Magnus, the hook shot that's going to be coming up from the Clockwork, and they're going to have Mortimer Kisses that can be launched from the back line. We still don't have 6 on the Silencer either to stop those Mortimer Kisses once they do come online. I think PYW is bringing the Tome in a second here, so they're going to look to hit hard. This blink DK reveal.
That's scary for VP.
They have the damage follow-up. That's the real scary thing for sure. Is DY.
Catch him on his own here, DY. Well, he's got the cogs. And also, Ori by his side. TP out there.
Force the coil.
Is indeed going to force that. It's a kill, but it's a coil. There's the ult down. And this could be a bit more of a window for Vici Gaming to get even more aggressive onto VP, especially when DY is back up in 10. It's also very close to hitting the 6 on the clock.
They're going to go for bottom now. With that blink DK, with the Mortimer Kisses, they have the damage to be able to go through that Medusa. Global, not online. Let's see if VP makes the read. VP's actually making their move top at the same time.
Here's the jump. Kisses coming out as well. They're going to have a good amount of damage coming in onto Nightfall. Nightfall's going to go straight for the TP out, though. And with the cover of the Global, the quick TP, Nightfall makes it away from the move. Same time, top lane, VP, they're getting it onto Poyo. TP's coming in. Fisher's out here to catch the 2 of them. On 11 turns, Echo Slam straight into the face of the Drow. They take out Poyo. They'll lose Sacred, though. GPK, quick with the jump out. Is he able to get away from this? Old 11's trying to chase, but they don't have any further gap close. So a 1-for-1 there, but VP taking down that Drow, finally able to slow down Poyo a little bit.
Tome had just been delivered to Kingslayer. Right when they made the move, he got the Tome, got the 6, got the Global, able to probably save Nightfall. Did look a little bit scary for him there for a second with that damage, because he didn't have Mana Shield on at the start when they went on him, so. They do get the Drow. So VP do get themselves on the board there. Still a 2K lead for Vici.
Yeah, it was a good response to
DM.
What VP was trying to get done.
That was a bit scary there for a second. DY almost could have found the angle to get onto DM. DM, about 250 gold from Blink Dagger, so that's pretty fortunate for them. So they'll have multiple ways to initiate. I believe GPK went for a bit more greed, a bit more ways to scale inside of the game. Doesn't want to just be a blink. He's going to actually go for that Witchblade.
Yeah, they need the damage.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, DY. Quick catch here onto the Willow. No escape out of the cogs. DY, he'll be bounced away. They'll have Ori and PYW to wrap around with the finishing damage.
Great cookie.
Let's see what DM can do. Shaker,
Dyer's
Link
middle
online.
tower is under attack.
No echo for 60 though. Still with the blink, as long as he's able to stay in the nearby neighborhood of Nightfall, we'll be able to help out that Deucer if the jump comes in. Both teams here cleaning up some nice ancient stacks.
Ooh, those are some very nice ones for Nightfall. Much needed ones, as he is a little bit behind that Drow. And it's a scary matchup, that Medusa versus Drow Ranger. I mean, just Drow is going to be able to pierce right through her, and he is buffed up a little bit more, of course, as we always tend to say. The Empower, since you're a high base damage hero, sure, you're not melee, but Empower is just so damn good. And he's got Little Shredder. He will have what I thought was going to actually be a medallion on PYW. PYW switching it up a bit. I guess they are all really just trying to compensate for the global that's going to come out. The Lotus Orbs just start to become more valuable, but either way, Drow is always going to have a little bit more of that steroid from his teammates.
And how does sort of the Drow Medusa matchup go as the game goes on? Does Drow always just have that range and damage advantage against Medusa?
I mean, of course, you have to factor in everything else of all the rest of the lineups because, like, he has like all these bodiers. So I'd give Drow the pretty big favor in the later stages because of that, and because they don't have the same type of reach. DY.
Talking about reach, closes in with a hook shot.
He pulls him out of the cogs with the shockwave.
He's not going to be able to get the blink off though. Actually using the slam here.
Ooh.
So that's I mean, they need that. That's what, 150 seconds, no slam. A much more punishing time in comparison to the 20 that he's just dead. No echo. That's going to make things a little difficult for VP to do much really against Vici Gaming the next minute or so.
Yeah. I'm wondering why he actually just laid it down.
Well, I mean, he thought that he
will think he can blink out, but either way, that's not worth it at this point in the game. Like, the way that Vici's setting the tempo, now you're not going to have echo for such a long time when you respawn. You're putting all the pressure on on the Willow and the Puck, who they can make moves, though. Something we did not talk about, of course, is the coil into the fear combo that will be coming out.
That's tough. Oh. Look at this old 11. He's able to get the catch onto the Deuce. Immediate global and Stone Gaze. Fisher out onto the 4 of them. They're giving the coverage for Nightfall to break away from Vici Gaming. The kisses are coming in though. They're trying to chase GPK. He's jumped in on the backlines. He's in onto Poyo. He's on top of the Drow. The fear. The snap back on the coil. The damage is done. VP, they jump the Drow. Turnover was on limit. Lost the RP though. The AoE damage there for PYW, but they've lost the Drow and the Magnus. Vici Gaming have to back off as VP, they're able to fight around Vici Gaming very well there. Good read from GPK getting over on top of the Drow. That follow-up as well from the Dark. Well, it's just the combo, it is there and can cause issues at this stage of the game.
Right after we say it, too. They do land that combo, as we're going to see it again. It was actually, so look at the mini-map here. They were making their own move on VP. They scanned, they knew where the Drow was, then Drow GP'd mid, and they're like, wait, this is even better. We can actually connect to where our team is getting gone on and get this perfect grab. And again, global coming into play, perfect.
Yeah, and there was nothing that Vici Gaming could do to bail Poyo out of that sort of move.
And it wasn't RP, kind of wasted. They didn't get that big 4 kill.
And back in action on the top lane. Look what they found here. DY. He's going to look to hook shot out. He's actually still alive. Fisher's out, but the creeps, they'll take him. The neutrals taking down DY there.
Because of the raindrop. Raindrop blocked the Fisher damage. Neutral gets the last hit.
A little bit of fire though here from VP.
And starting to get starting to get some big damage too. I actually really like that Save is going for this build. He's going for the Vessel this time around. He has Fairy Trinket. He's going to dish out a ton of damage. Also playing into DK, playing into all these tanky bruisers, makes Vessel even more valuable.
Dyer's middle tower is under attack.
Those are loud dragons. Released by Ori. Well, he's going to be rushing toward that BKB, since he is playing versus like global and all this like spell nuke that VP does have, wants to have that coverage. Old 11, looks like he's going to go for his own Greaves. So, like we mentioned, tends to happen when you're playing versus Silencer. Everybody's trying to find some type of dispel.
They need all they can get to play out against that. We've seen in the last game as well, of course, from Vici that time round, how much the silencer just breaks the complete combo of the enemy team in this early game. Top lane, DY, he's found DM. Easy catch here in the Cox, and DM, no chance of getting out.
Oof, that's something scary also, though, to point out is you tend to see these force staffs always be prioritized a lot more versus Clockwork, but they don't really have the greatest force staff carrier. Silencer, Kingslayer is looking to build one. However, that's going to be good to protect himself, but protecting teammates as a silencer, that means you're showing yourself in a fight, probably. If you're looking to like force staff a teammate a lot of times, could be a bit problematic, and that's the only person who can really build it in the early game. So, I mean, DM's game is going to be hard, as we've already stated multiple times, because he is playing versus that Clockwork, but that's just going to continue to make it harder. He probably has to go for his own force staff.
I think so, yeah. A lot of ways to catch Kingslayer from a distance if they're aware of his position. Hook shots, kisses, these blinks, of course, coming in. Huge range from the Drought. It's not a very safe battlefield for this silencer to show his face on.
No, he really has to hide because Global is just so damn important. And DM is starting to get really underfarmed. He's going to get surpassed by the Snapfire at some point soon. Only 700 away. We do see PYW getting a ton of farm on the map. Almost has his Lotus Orb done, actually. He's 600 away from Lotus Orb on Snapfire. So he'll have his way to be able to cover his teammates, cover himself versus that Global.
Fast as a
They're scouting behind the tower too, the Rocket. It scouts DM.
Top tower is under attack.
Gets the hook shot.
That's a deep hook shot there for DY. Straight back underneath the towers. He's got eyes on DM. They're pushing back to him. He's actually going to use the slam, but they've got the damage. DM will fall. They've lost Kingslayer as Vici game were able to get in on the back lines. Magnus on under the tower. Core there under the Drought. VP, they're able to hit back. They may have lost 2 underneath the tower, but losing 2 cores in response for that Vici gaming as VP, they are able to punish that pretty aggressive dive.
Great target prioritization. That GPK just sees Drow. He immediately just blinks, coils him, and they have ways to catch up to her.
Now GPK is, his target prioritization the last few fights has been, if he keeps this up, Poyoyo's just not going to be able to play their game in the fights until they sort of get that extra arm online. BKB still quite a while away for the Drow Ranger. Until that's there, GPK is going to be doing this every single time.
Yep. He really does have his number, and we did mention multiple times, right? A little bit of a tough lane, could be a bit of a tough game versus the Silence and versus the instant stun of DK. 2-0-4 on GPK.
No, he's
having an excellent game.
He's certainly showing his power on the puck.
And Nightfall also almost has an eye. Scotty finished up on the Dusa very early.
Saving DM, finding DY.
Will he go down?
Probably do. Okay,
yeah, the creep.
The creep.
No, it stopped hitting him.
It's like, nah, I'm good. Well, I'll let VP take the kill instead.
I like how they're both just tipping each other back and forth. 11. It's a lot of damage he's going to take from the curse as well as from that vessel. Over 1,000 even. And as we mentioned, Scotty's already done for Nightfall. Very early timing.
He's looking pretty solid, already about 2k ahead of that of the farm of Poyoyo. As I say, Poyoyo has got to get that BKB, then they've got to look to get things done. If they try for anything again before that BKB is online and Poyoyo gets jumped again, taken out of the team fight once more, VP are going to be able to create quite a big distance between their own Medusa and the enemy Drow.
And it's I actually really like that he went for that. We've been seeing it more, but the early Scotty pickup versus DK and Drow. DK going to be in range for him. He's going to get slowed extra. Drow ever gets hit once, it's got to be strong as GPK.
Very, very quick with the blink there. And with that blink, I think, Ori's going to be able to get himself in a position where VP can't go for him anymore. They'll try and turn for DY, but DY, he's closed in on Kingslayer. He's caught the silencer. Hasn't got enough damage on his own to push up into Kingslayer, though. With the rest of VP standing by his side. Old Levy's looking for the jump. He is now able to get the hold onto Kingslayer. He's got the setup onto DM. Jump over the Dragon Tail. DM will turn with the Fisher, but the burn from the kisses and the Dragon finishes him off. As VP, they felt they were in a favorable position there up on the high ground, but Vici Gaming showing that they weren't afraid to make the jump up there. And this time round, Kingslayer just much further forward than the rest of his teammates, a little out of position that time.
Poyoyo still, as you mentioned, waiting for that BKB before he looks to really take on that big head-on fight. Kingslayer's, Nightfall is in an excellent position though. Right now they did use the DK form. They still have RP available, so I'm not sure if VP can force the issue here onto anything, but they are grouping up for something. Rallying around this Medusa is going to be a good idea.
Tower down, and VP Ready to go up to the high ground. Vici Gaming are there waiting. He's going to make the jump first. Oh, DM, he's missed the slam. They get the coil on one, but no slam to follow up here. It's a pretty tanky Magnus. See if they actually are able to finish him off. They are. Fisher's down. Old 11 can't escape. They take out the mag there. Did cost themselves a couple of the big ults. The initiation, at least.
That's a pretty clean disengage, if I say so myself, from Vici. They show the DK, but his DK form is ending, so it's an ideal situation for them to show, blink out, only lose one hero. Nightfall.
He's just run up to the high ground on himself. He's feeling pretty strong. I mean, he's pretty darn farmed, and he is getting away with it. Now Poyo, he's got to try and run up, but they're in with the Skadi, so he's caught in the bramble. They're trying to get the drown out of there with the cookie, but they can't. Poyo goes down. PYW is also going to be chased out. DM jumps forward, slap to the face. That's 4 out on Vici Gaming. And my goodness, Nightfall, where he knew he could get away with it, just waltzing up to the high ground at the Stusa. Vici Gaming, they try and make a go on him, and his farm showing off. You know, he's at the top of the net worth. These items just flying in, Dragonlance, Skadi, SMY. He is massive. And Vici Gaming, if it's not a fully coordinated 5 heroes going on him, they struggle to kill him at this stage.
And they knew there's no DK form. I mean, most of Vici had lost, was not available, right? Like Magnus was still dead, DK form was down. Drow Ranger's BKB was sitting on the courier above him. I don't know what happened, actually. I like looked like it wasn't delivering. He had the courier over him, and it wasn't delivering, and then the puck just killed it. I'd have to see it again, because I caught it at the last second, but I thought he had it already out onto him, but yeah, I guess the courier just didn't deliver it in time. So 2 minutes, no BKB.
Oh, hello, quick jump from Mori. He's able to find. They've over here to the side, skewer back. This is a very dead Willow.
Lizard chips.
Mori already looking for more. Was trying to catch the courier, but BKB Dragon form up for him.
Nightfall's just leaps and bounds ahead, though. Not only just in the gold, he's 4 levels ahead of Poyoyo as well.
Level 20 here, just 24 minutes in.
And as we mentioned, a minute left until the courier respawns with Poyoyo's BKB. They're already pinging him out. Like, DM's considering even making a go onto him.
I mean, look at this. Quite the swing around here, back into VP's favor. VP playing this sort of early mid-game very well from behind.
High GPK is the biggest one, right? Level 18 on the puck. He's doing so much work. 406. 10 of the 12 kills have been because of his movements.
No, and as you said, you know, you cannot understate how difficult of a puck game this is. But GPK here on the main stage, bringing it out against some of the tougher heroes to play this hero into.
Yeah, he's not into it like a Nyx Assassin plus at all. But yeah, into the Gust and into Clockwork and DK can always be difficult. And he's just been super active. Having to use the coil this time, feeling a little bit scared. He's going to get jumped. His team is also making the move.
Yeah, they want to get Nightfall involved as much as possible right now. They realize that the power that their Medusa has, so keeping Nightfall over this half of the map. I mean, Vici Gaming, you can sort of see it there. Sort of look at this Medusa and saying, what do we do? How do we approach fights now into VP when we know that Nightfall's always going to be around by their side?
They were waiting for BKB. It finally respawns off Courier, so now Poyoyo's much safer. He can actually play Dota, because without a BKB in this game, it was like he could literally do nothing. He gets jumped on every time. And they are rallying around that, but VP, as we've been mentioning, rallying around Nightfall, who's more than halfway towards a butterfly. He's going to have excellent timing on it. Mid.
Starting action. I mean, this DK's just dying. Or he has to put the BKB, get out. And he gets taken down completely there when he gets caught in by the Fisher. Oh, it's a jump. They've got the one. Global comes out in return, and only getting Nightfall in the grab back there, Old 11, so there's nothing else to move in and press on with it for Vici Gaming. GPK jumping in behind the tower.
That's a couple times now. DM
and a quick jump out as well. Dodges the hook shot. Fishes out under the two of them. They're coming out with the kisses over the face. If GPK's able to avoid it, Nightfall moves into position with the stone gaze. They're trying to get Ori out of here with the cookie. Nightfall. He's been stewed up to the high ground, but it's almost as if he doesn't care. A little shred of damage coming in, but have they actually got enough to bring down this Medusa? Mana starting full low for Nightfall, but GPK's in. Jumps across with the orb. A double kill for GPK. Poyo also to fall. They've lost 3. Old 11 having to skewer back to the tier 4s as he runs away. VP, I mean, we're seeing it hit Nightfall underneath the tier 3. It's almost as if he's defending the wrong base. They can't even get past him back to the safety of their own high ground. Nightfall is just seemingly too huge at this moment.
just stone gazes and literally runs in. That's another form of initiation. Also awkward from Vici the way they start the fight. Old 11, he thinks he sees a two-man RP, but again, now we see these like quick little blink daggers. DM dodges it. It ends up being only a single catch. The global to cover, and then yeah, the skewer into the base actually brings them right on top of Drow Ranger. So see you later, marksmanship.
Absolutely. And Nightfall sort of says, well, thank you. You know, giving Nightfall the high ground there in that situation. Not necessarily the high ground you'd normally expect to want to be in on the enemy's base, but it worked out that time.
And seeing severe damage issues, really. Nightfall just 6,000 ahead. He's about to have a literal full item ahead of that Drow Ranger. And Drow's had to go for more defensive build, as we've mentioned multiple times. She doesn't have the liberty to be able to go for these type of just straight damage items.
Titan Sliver as well picked up for Nightfall.
Oh boy. Starting to feel real difficult for Vici to do much of anything. Even though they've gotten all these items to counteract the global, their bigger problem is the Dusa.
How do they kill him?
Has fallen.
2-0-7, a perfectly clean game so far from Nightfall.
A prize.
GPK 606 as well. These two cores just absolutely crushing it. While DM is having a little bit of a harder game, these two are absolutely making up for it. And now with good map control here too, they're about to have another BKB finished up on DM. A DD rune spawns top outside the Roche pit.
Here we go.
Save.
Absolutely. Playing around with the three of them on his own. They go with the kiss of the hookshot. They've had enough for save. I mean, they will kill him off with that. See if they're actually able to get everyone out. Old 11 will go for the skewer back, trying to take Nightfall away for the rest of his team. 4 heroes focusing this Medusa. They'll use the RP as well, but Nightfall, he's not even taken half HP. He's now ready to move forward with the Stone Gaze. They will be able to disarm him here for now. So Nightfall now chooses to back off. The jump in onto Kingslayer. Kingslayer, by the looks of it, will be left behind by the rest of the squad as VP continue to retreat with the 3 of them. But we're seeing that multiple ultimates just thrown out onto Nightfall, caught rather far away from the rest of his team. It just doesn't matter.
If he didn't have Butterfly there, it actually is likely that he dies. But with that evasion, you see the Drow Ranger does little to nothing as Poyoyo, they know where he is. GPK's already on top of him.
Already starting the action here with the Dream Coil. BKB is still on cooldown for 30 seconds for Poyoyo. He's going to try and turn and hold his ground, but DM just walks up. Echo Slam right on top of the face of the Drow Ranger. BKB's popped by Ori. He'll look for the TP out, nothing to put a stop to it through that magic immunity. So Ori manages to escape. Poyoyo is going to continue to struggle to catch up to Nightfall right now. About 7k difference here with Nightfall hitting the 20k net worth just 29 minutes in.
It's feeling pretty much impossible. And look at this, an instant move again. VP, they see Old 11 farming top for a second, hunting him. Will he be able to get away?
Oh, the fish is just a little short there. Not quite having the reach, DM.
Poyoyo's game is just, it's just too hard. Even though he had to rush for the Duso has literal free farm, no deaths whatsoever, and just full map control. Not the position Vici wants to be by any means.
I mean, they're even got some DY here behind the tower. Vici Gaming really falling apart now as they can barely keep one another alive here. They make any sort of split play on the map. VP make the jump instantly, up 8k.
And now
okay, the catch GPK. He's still got mana for an orb though.
Should be fine. And he's got Aghanims now too. So Poyoyo's 20-something minutes it took him to farm that BKB is now totally counteracted as if they just coil her. Nightfall can just Stone Gaze, run all the way up into her face. And the game is starting to look pretty impossible for this Drow Ranger to have that distance. Even though they drafted it, it's been unable to actually perform because of how well, in particular, GPK has been able to perform.
I think he's ruined the whole idea that they wanted with this Drow pick. And I don't think they expected him to be able to do so in the way that he does.
Yep.
This is just top GPK puck play.
And great coverage. Kingslayer's global is on point. Perhaps, you know, we did see in the first series of the day, Magnus was the hero of the series. Silencer now both games looking real hot.
Radiant are
Aegis on Nightfall as well now.
Oop, Ori.
Gonna try for the TP out, but they've got ways to stop it. Ori's escape shut down.
He doesn't even bother popping BKB or anything like that, since that is an Agh's coil. Knows he's gonna die either way.
Immediately moving up towards the outpost to try and play from the opposite side here.
Dire's top tower is under
Vici Gaming heading straight back to the base. Fisher will catch TY. Oh, Old 11. He's grabbed the 3 of them. The global's there, but he's going to remove the silence. Skill back up to the high ground, but DM wants the
spot. Poyo and BYW desperately trying to get back. They'll look to turn over towards GPK's poke, but the fear from Save pushes them back. And Ori, he comes back into action with the buyback, but he's not able to get the catch onto anybody. As VP, they're back outside of the base, only losing DM in that dive that they're forced to make thanks to the skewer of Old 11.
Oh, the double buyback's real hurt. And just no damage. That's why it's like 8,000 gold behind this Medusa. Even with Aegis online, they just can't even hurt her.
Pretty much a full Daedalus.
Yep.
Out for the next fight.
Yeah,
we'll see this again here. I mean,
it was a good RP. It was Greaves to remove that global and to get the skewer into, but at this point, when they're so far behind, they just don't have the damage coming out from Poyoyo.
Absolutely, and DM just immediately BKB getting the two-man echo off, blows up DY. Old 11 having to run, and they have to get us away from Nightfall as quickly as they can at this point. Nightfall hitting the level 25. Just continue to hit insane timings upon timings on this hero this game.
Yep, and insane item timings as well too for GPK, right? Like in that situation, imagine he doesn't have one of these, like he doesn't have Ghost Scepter. Perhaps he does die to that Gus and all that combo, but he's just so damn farmed on this puck with the Kaya Sanj as well. Also now an E-Blade, so he can cover his teammates, cover himself, more burst damage. Pretty insane how farmed GPK really is this game.
Yeah, this is wild. 8-0-9.
And it's just what's the bailout going to be really for Vici, as they're just falling further behind, and Poyoyo, he's just nowhere near an MKB, nowhere near a big damage item for him to actually deal with this Medusa.
And of course, game one very much got to a situation rather early where it felt like there was very little VP could do to make a
top tower
this game. Do you feel Vici Gaming is in just as difficult of a position, or was it Nightfall? I mean, he's on his own, but they're just having a run.
I feel like this is a much harder position, to be honest.
You think this is even more difficult to come back in?
This Medusa is just, now it's literally almost 3 items ahead of a Drow Ranger. There's just not really too many methods of recovery. It's level 20 on Drow 2, level 25 on Dusa. Puck also level 25. They're just getting so much. And Vici's all kind of trapped in their base, so that lead is just going to continue to grow. And they can barely even get outside now at this point.
Yeah, they've just got to hold the high ground and hope for the best here, Vici Gaming.
Yep, he's got the level 20 talent on the Magnus, so that's kind of what they have to play around now, is just skewer range, just pulling them under tier 4s. Even then, though, very difficult.
Boom, there it goes.
And yeah, VP, just chilling out, farming all the lanes.
Let's see what they want to do next here.
Dire's
VP
is under attack.
They very much can pick and choose the next move they make.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Visibly under very little pressure right now.
Showing in all 3 lanes. That's when you have. That's when you're super confident that they can't make any move to punish you.
Now, Vici Gaming just having to play the waiting game. At least for that Aegis. 20 seconds that will be gone on Nightfall. Maybe then they can look to try and get out, or at the least be a little bit more willing to throw themselves into some sort of action outside of the high ground.
They're gonna have to just somehow try to isolate this Medusa, though. That's the one problem I do see for them, is they have to kill everybody else on VP, and then they have to try to kill the Medusa. Because if they just take a head-on fight by any means, the Medusa's unkillable. She's gonna clean up everybody super easy. So somehow they have to find and get, like, I guess multiple skewers, really. It's like all eyes on Old 11. If you can get a skewer, then another one, just keep repositioning and taking out heroes so they have a number advantage. It's super hard for Vici to do much of anything. He's gonna fish. They'll get one.
Can we? Damn, I'm good.
That's the jab.
That's a pretty good one.
Illusion.
At least we'll save down for a minute here. Vici Gaming can be pretty confident that VP won't make a play for this window. The question is if they want to try and get out and do something whilst it's 5 versus 4. Still won't be easy by any means, but might be something to work with.
They have to find someone that's not the Medusa. And probably not GPK too, because he is also quite immortal. 34 armor on the puck.
I mean, you see DY trying to get round to the back line, see if he can get the line onto the Silencer, onto Kingslayer.
Something pretty cool too is with GPK, he's been hanging on to Blaster majority of this game, and the reasoning is because it's that plus armor versus the marksmanship, so he's just that much tankier. Like I was mentioning, he was super tanky. Now, sure, as soon as I said, he does find the Spell Prism, which is like the most fortunate item for a puck, but you could see the reasoning of why he was carrying it for so long in the game.
Well, the moment has passed, and
with flair.
Nothing to be done, even with one hero off the map.
No, they can't. Not on the side of Vici yet.
VP immediately looking to group up and maybe try and even get the jump from the low ground. With the way that GPK has been playing, if he catches anybody up there, he will quickly get himself in and out of the base of Vici Gaming to start the fight off.
Lane's pushing in. GPK ports bottom. Anyway, just a push. And they are still smoked, especially on the two backline heroes, the Earthshaker and the Silencer, who had a rough game in the early game versus this Clockwork, but ever since the early game, it's just been easy pickings for them. TY unable to really find the opportunities when VP all started grouping up. VP really, yeah, look at that confidence, like just really starting to get the taunts going as they should. Win probability at 90%.
Yeah, they did certainly struggle in game one, so having this sort of a game two performance is going to be huge for VP.
GPK breaks the smoke, backs away, and I believe they prevented them from getting any of their tier 4 items too. They haven't been able to find a single neutral on the side of Vici in the last couple minutes.
DY, he's not going to want to go.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
A little too far out. I mean, they try and make the move, but nobody to be caught. They immediately back off straight back to the base and look to reset.
So I'm getting some small gains there for Poyoyo, almost up to his next item. But still not quite enough, as he is still gonna struggle versus that Medusa.
Now with the BKB on Nightfall, it's pretty much at the point where he can stand tall on the high ground, take these objectives with very little, if anything, being able to be done by Vici's heroes against him. Certainly has geared up to this point to becoming pretty much invincible.
I'm surprised they haven't just gone into the Roche pit again.
Radiant are scanning.
Starting to ping it out, maybe looking to fix out the bottom lane before they do head into that pit, but I believe they're going to look to at least go in there quite soon, because it does feel pretty impossible for Vici to get over toward that Roche. If they take a fight around the Roche pit, it's disaster for them, because that's very likely where VP still has all the information, all the vision, and then that's where Nightfall can just actually start to hit heroes, which is, I think, what he really wants to do at this point. 545 last hits on this Medusa. I think he's done farming. I think he really wants to start killing.
I mean, there's only so much more that he can really pick up at this stage. He is an incredible peak of power here. We see on the CS, 550 CS in this 40-minute game.
Level 27 as well, so on top of Butterfly, has the evasion talent too, so again, even more so mentioning how much this Drow is going to struggle.
They will head into the pit now. Vici Gaming are not going to be able to make any move over here. They're still going to have to play the waiting game. Stepping out towards Roshan is not an option.
So wait till what though, right? Because they are, like we said, Butterfly is done for Poyoyo, DK's finished his Aghanim Scepter, so they're starting to get all these items, but how are they going to kill Medusa?
They've got 3 of them heading over, not the full squad. Maybe seeing if they could go for some sort of Aegis steal, but as it is, VP themselves have backed out of the pit. They don't want to even get that little bit of an opportunity for maybe DY to make some smart play with a hook shot. So they don't push on for the Roche.
I feel like they're being just a little bit too hesitant.
You think they can just go get this?
I think they can just go in there. This Medusa is enormous. They have global for coverage too. I guess they are fearful of the steal,
they just
like
don't
you were
want
mentioning.
The steal, yeah.
But
yep. I mean, that must be it.
Do it with flair.
They know where he is now.
Yeah.
That rocket. Giveaway's positioning. He's going to see the sentry too. Now they're 100% aware. They see DY.
He's doing his best to get an angle to try and get in on this.
Radiant's bottom tower.
They will push him away. He tries to TP out, but the fish is there. As he's gone, VP playing it as safe as they possibly could there, really. At the same time, down on the bottom, PYW also taken out. I mean, VP, they're just really leaving nothing up to chance here. They're keeping all of their exits covered in this game.
That is very true. And they will find PYW, who's been split pushing most of the game. And speaking of PYW, I mean 8-3 and 4. He's been quietly sliding along with some excellent score for his team, but you just feel that gloom just continuing to come. There's just no solution for the Medusa. They're gonna try.
It's gonna be a deep skewer. But do they have anywhere near the damage to take this man down the once, let alone the twice? And it doesn't look like it. Nightfall, still in fighting shape. Took a little bit of a bruising, but I'm still feeling confident. We'll see another round. It's going to be pretty deep here where he loses the Aegis, though. This is behind tier 4. DM, they've found the Drow. BKB comes out, Poyoyo, but a Hurricane Pipe back to safety. RP's down. They've caught Nightfall. Have they got the damage? Hookshot over. He gets the BKB off. Now he's going to look to try and riposte the Stone Gaze. Poyoyo, he's out of the game. No buyback on the Drow. Nightfall still good to go. DY looking to get away. The kisses from PYW coming out for the base. Dragon Tail stun in. Nightfall, he's still able to move away. BKB's popped by the Dragon Knight as Ori tried to kill off this Medusa, but they just cannot. Nightfall still alive. GPK ready to jump back in. Diving past the Ancient. Kills off Old 11. 3 dead. No buyback. Ori stopped outside of his base. The E-Blade Blast comes in. GPK styling on them outside of the fountain.
GPK. What a game by him. 11-0-10. Drow Ranger Poyoyo thinks he got away. Puck comes in with the E-Blade with the Dagon, easily able to clean him up at the end there. Almost bringing down the Medusa the second time. But
I mean, yeah, it really is just one of those games to be able to pull out this sort of a performance on the main stage. GPK, no nerves whatsoever.
He's mad after that
just look at the net worth. I mean, Nightfall has been having the most insane game when it comes to farming, but GPK, because of these plays and these kills, he's nearly as farmed as his Medusa.
He is about to have nothing else he can purchase except for Moonshard. He has the bot. I mean, bots too, fine, but he's got a Dagon 5 once he pens his gold. He's got everything. That is ridiculous.
I mean, I enjoy it now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think GPK is going to get a player's puck again here.
No, especially not in
teams aren't letting this through.
Especially now when they have all these heroes that are just like, I mean, that they would have liked versus especially that DK just unable to find any grabs on him. Yeah, it's been the GPK show, really. And Vici, it really feels like they've been trapped inside their base now for what feels like 10-15 minutes. VP. I feel like VP is doing the Vici to Vici right now.
Sure.
Right? Because this is what Vici does to teams where they're like, oh, we're going to get ahead. We're going to stay ahead. We're going to suffocate you. We're going to make you feel miserable inside your base. And look at, I mean, it's Vici this time around stuck in their base, probably feeling quite miserable for the last 10 to 15 minutes.
This is what you want to do, you know, game 2 and getting the equalizer. You know, there's going to be one more game to the series if you can close this up, and you want to make sure that you've been able to push your enemy into a pretty rough mental state before that final game. And this sort of drawn out, slow win is definitely not going to be fun to be on the receiving end of.
Bottom.
Dire's turret has been killed.
Easy kill.
No buyback, of course, still for Ori. Still on that long cooldown after the last fight. But now with it being 4 versus 5, this could be VP finally having mercy and look to put an end to this. Odd 11, it's a deep skewer. Instantly out with the ultimate though. GPK ready to jump in. He's looking at Poyoyo on the backlines. They killed off Old 11. They're in on top of the Drow. Leashed up as well by the Dream Coil. Poyoyo tries to stun, hook shot back in over towards DM. They take out DM, but GPK then pushes back Poyoyo.
What a monster. He's just standing his ground, high-fiving Poyoyo while fiving him, while E-blading him. 40k gold lead. Looking to close this one out finally. GG is called.
They call it, ladies and gentlemen. There we have it. VP taking game 2 here against Vici Gaming. My God, what a game by them. What a game coming back after what was a pretty darn tough game 1 against Vici Gaming. And yeah, I mean, we've said it many times and we'll say it again. GPK's puck, my goodness, that's sort of showing here on the main stage.
Game 3 lagi.
Goodness, that's sort of showing here on the main stage is, I mean, speechless. Yes, that sort of puck play.
Poyoyo ends the game 3-8-7. He got away with the laning phase too. He had a pretty good start, and then it was just a GPK show, finding him over and over and over again. Same thing with the Willow. Very good plays coming out from all of VP, just getting on top of the targets, knowing who to prioritize. Excellent game from them. Couldn't ask for more.
That really was. They knew exactly what to get done then. It'll be very interesting to see how Vici Gaming returns to this and tries to break down this approach from VP. Of course, they did try something this game, Vici Gaming, that we haven't seen too much. We have seen a bit of Drow here and there, but it's not really been the go-to carry of the patch. So maybe some sort of testing out there that they won't return to in Game 3, as I imagine they'll try something different. They're definitely going to have to consider taking away some of these strengths from VP, though. Yeah, GPK puck, Nightfall on the Medusa, these two cores just popping off this game. As VP, they'll get the equalizer for now. 1-1 between Virtus.Pro and Vici Gaming right now.
People were doubting Virtus.Pro's mental fortitude, and I think this game proves that they were wrong to do so, because they just made an incredible comeback. Lizard, what happened?
What happened is, you put it really well, an incredible comeback. The puck versus the Drow Ranger, we were talking in the green room quite a bit about the interaction, but the interaction that I want to talk about at the beginning, just for a little while, is the Earthshaker and his ultimate. Not sure what was happening over there. Should we not?
We didn't see anything.
However, it played the mental game versus Vici Gaming. They see him, he's using his ulti, hitting no one. Then they're like, okay, let's go. They go all in, and then the counterplays happen. And the Drow goes a little bit too deep. The Puck ulti follows up, and every single teamfight had the same storyline. If Puck gets on top of the Drow Ranger, the teamfight is won for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, Puck was completely popping off GPK. We said after the first game ended, we wanted to see him on something playmaking, not on Razor. He's not that type of a hero, because you can do so many things with Puck. You know, you can play in the back lines. He finished this game with 13-1 and 11. He had Poyoyo's number. I think it also comes down to Poyoyo's item build. He bought Falcon Blade as his first item, so that he delayed his BKB timing, which was very crucial in this game. They needed to keep the pressure out on the map, but the GPK was just completely dominating Poyoyo in every single fight, getting on top of him. And also we can go back to GPK's item build in this game. Going for the Witchblade into Blink Dagger, Boots of Travel to be even putting out more pressure on the map, playing the side lanes, and kind of counter-fighting, counter-reacting to whatever Clockwork is doing.
Yeah, it felt like for Vici, they couldn't move around the map as quickly as they'd like. Like, yeah, they had all these heroes that theoretically answered the puck, theoretically answered the Earthshaker with the Clockwork, the DK with the Insta-Stun, but they just weren't able to. I mean, they needed to be more active, but that's just not what Vici Gaming do well. So they were kind of sitting back and, well, you're letting this Medusa free farm. Medusa looking like a really key hero for this matchup.
Yeah, there was a point actually where we started seeing the RPs into skewers into the base, and that was actually helping VP initiate.
That was helping them, yeah. At one point, when a Medusa is so big, you even want to switch up one item to get that Blink Dagger to blink behind the enemy lines and pop that ulti. So one extra thing about that skewer back is you're playing versus a Drow Ranger, so it's even better that you're getting up close. And in that scenario, I think the best bet for yourself is to plant that Drow Ranger on the high ground and defend from the high ground, not let the Medusa climb it.
What's the role of the Mag then? What was Ult 11 supposed to do?
Well, usually Magnus isn't paired with a Drow Ranger or range carries for a reason, and this is probably one of them. However, I want to say that maybe the inexperience of Poyoyo played a part in this game, because he was joining way too many teamfights, way too many pushes. I feel Dragonite should have been the driving force of these pushes, and not Drow Ranger. Tier 2 on the bottom lane, the fight that they lost there was the beginning of their downfall.
Well, I would like to hear from Virtus.Pro themselves, as we have an interview with their team captain to tell us all about the team.
Virtus.Pro is one of the most well-known organizations in the CIS region, a powerhouse with a long history of strong DPC finishes and major tournament victories. And yet, a run at TI that matches that reputation has eluded them. This time could be different. This year's VP roster is packed with younger players, all of whom have zero experience on the TI main stage. And that seems to be intentional. In an odd twist, the whole squad was playing together as VP Prodigy, the youth team, when the organization abruptly brought them up to replace the entirety of the main VP roster.
Добавляет ли давление то, что вы представляете Virtus.Pro как организацию, что вы топ-1 команда своего региона, или это, наоборот, вас больше заряжает, мотивирует на качественную игру на какую-то?
Да, на самом деле, оно это и заряжает, и добавляет и давление одновременно. Ну, тем более за последние 5 лет она была лидирующей в СНГ. Это и очень сильно нас заряжает, и дальше продолжить как бы эпоху, ну, того старого золотого состава ВП. Мы, очевидно, хотим быть чем-то подобным. Да, я думаю, у нас в целом просто сильные игроки. Мы все молодые, мы играем очень много пабликов. Довольно сильные игроки именно в микро. Мы можем и вне игры общаться довольно-таки много. И в самой игре это тоже чувствуется, что у нас есть определенная связь между друг другом. И думаю, все это нам может помочь, чтобы занять одно из самых лучших мест на нете.
VP dominated their region throughout the DPC season. Despite coming into each major in first place, they failed to finish in the top 6 at either event.
Может, это все-таки для нашей команды был не самый лучший формат с точки зрения сразу прохода в плей-офф. Мы заходим просто в плей-офф и играем нашу первую игру, как будто бы это просто игра нашей всей жизни. Мы все играем под нереальным каким-то прежером. И просто заходим, не делаются вещи, которые всегда у нас делаются на КВ и так далее. Суть даже не в том, что у кого-то трясутся руки или что-то. Атмосфера в игре совсем не та, которая обычно у нас в играх. В любом случае, это нам дало огромный опыт, эти два мажора. Эти игры под давлением. После мажоров мы довольно много разговаривали командой. И я думаю, что мы на следующих турнирах будем лучше справляться с давлением. И это нам точно поможет на интернешнале.
Now at TI-10, Save acknowledges they'll need to find that mental toughness they seem to lack in the majors if they hope to meet or surpass the expectations of a Virtus.Pro squad. His motivation to do so has been building over years of TI memories, from well before he had the chance to take the stage himself.
Помню, сидел ночью, смотрел на планшете пятый ин, там, когда ЕГЭ выигрывали, Сумейл, все дела. И да, он меня очень сильно замотивировал. С того момента я начал следить вообще за всеми играми на про-сцене, как на примере ОГ с 9-го инта, что на самом деле у них есть огромная структура, которую они провели при подготовке к этому интернешналу. Что касается именно морали и так далее, да, у них именно в самой игре прослеживается огромная работа, которую они провели.
Комбинация факторов, да?
Да, я думаю, решает именно и то, и то. И, очевидно, это то, к чему мы будем стремиться в нашей подготовке перед интернешналом. Прямо сейчас у меня нет никаких ожиданий, как бы... Это первый интернешнл для нас всех. И никто не знает, что вообще будет на этом турнире из нас. И, очевидно, постараемся бороться с давлением, как мы можем, и показать нашу лучшую игру.
Вот это неизведанное, оно...
Go toe-to-toe with Vici Gaming, a team of veterans. Is there any advantage to being so young and inexperienced in a stage like TI?
I think at times. We've seen a lot of experienced captains in some of these teams. They look to find young talent to kind of mold. You go back to EG when they first picked up Sumail as like the prime example. You know, this 15-year-old who they could use his star power, his fearlessness. So I think often when you have that experience around young players, they can play in such a free, open way that, you know, a lot of the more players who, you know, play with nerves can't do.
There's a reason why most of us boomers are paneling and not
Yeah,
playing.
we're not able to play in a team anymore. I think it comes down to that where this squad is just a bunch of friends. And for example, I don't think they are thinking about this as their job. You know, they're here to have fun. They're very well connected between each other. And as he said in the interview, you know, they talk about the game even after the game ends and everything. It's not just, I'm going to shut down my PC once I'm done playing, once I'm done with this scrims, and I'm going to continue, you know, talking to my friends. And this is the bond that sometimes it's needed. We saw the power of friendship with the OG, and this is something that might drive Virtus.Pro towards the, you know, even taking and lifting the ages.
That's true, actually. I've met a lot of teams that are particularly young. Four Zoomers also comes to mind as an example. The old Four Zoomers that would just talk about Dota all day. They're just obsessed. They have nothing else to do. And you compare it to teams like Quincy, and they have like certain, you know, they have certain schedules, they have certain ideas, certain times. But for these young teams, Dota is their life. And that sometimes gives you an edge because the passion is there, but also dedication.
That's the passion, right? The passion is the one that allows these younger players to actually do all of these things and continue playing for 10 hours a day and then talk about the games, review replays and whatnot. Meanwhile, some teams that are a little bit more experienced have went through all of that. They need a little bit of time to perhaps just relax and take a step back before a main stage. Such as Secret. Puppy was talking in his interview about the fact that they took a little bit of a rest before TI. They didn't attend every single tournament because they didn't want to be affected by that burnout that they had in previous years.
That's true. We've seen other teams do that. OG also took vacations back when they were starting to lose at post-TI. And how much does how big a percentage would you say mental factor ends up being at TI, Mr. Lacoste?
Quite a lot, actually, because if you can't perform under pressure, no matter how skilled you are, how good you are at the game, it doesn't matter. Like, if one of you crumbles, and it's a very important part of the team, everything else is just going to fall apart. So I think it's actually more important coming and playing at the TI, because the nerves are going to hit. You know, you're coming through that tunnel, everyone's cheering for you, you hear the music, you know what's going to happen. Either it's a BO1 elimination game, or if it's a third game of a BO3, you still treat it as a BO1 in this scenario. So there's a ton of pressure. For those who didn't experience it, it's hard to get a grasp on how mentally sometimes hard it is to play under this pressure.
Yeah, skill and hard work does not win TI alone. The mental game is just a necessity. You can't win without it.
Is the mental warfare that you could see throughout True Sight, right? It's something that Notel is talking about a lot. He says, I was in a dark place. What Lacoste was just mentioning, if one of you crumbles, you mustn't let that crumble the whole team.
Yeah, you need to be able to pick that one guy up. If he's struggling, you just need to be around him. Even if it's just the game one, he needs to be able to reset.
So that's where the coaches come in as well, right? And for VP, maybe that might be why we see this new mental coach coming into the team.
Coaches, teammates, there was Seb in OG, now they have this NBA coach on the side of Virtus.Pro to help them out. So to every team their own, whatever works best for you.
Yeah, exactly. And for Vici, God, you like mentioning this, they're a team of veterans on the other hand, right? They're a team that have been through this, through this experience once or twice, some of them, some more. Do you think that this gives them an edge, especially in a best-of-3 like this?
I think now, both teams probably feeling a bit more relaxed being in the upper bracket. You do have that small little lifeline, but it's still going to Game 3. I give Vici Gaming a bit of an edge. I think playstyle-wise, they're going to take away a lot from that loss in terms of what picks worked, what didn't, how VP won the game. I think VP's perhaps did something a bit surprising going for that slower game with the Medusa. And I think that experience that you mentioned with Vici Gaming really will carry them a long way when it comes to a Game 3 decider here on the main stage.
So sorry, I'm just laughing at my own joke in my head. It comes a bit late, but
let's hear.
Yeah, let's go.
You ready? Okay. So you know why Earthshaker dunked the ground a couple of times for no reason? Because they had a basketball coach. You know, he's there saying, you know, you gotta dunk now, and he's like, all right, going in. Yeah. Even though they don't see anyone. So yeah, never mind. I just had to say
Ben Simmons in the NBA not dunking. He's like, you got to dunk.
He was too hyped. Yeah. He was too hyped.
That makes. I mean, they won the game, right? So he must be doing something.
Probably
right
watched The Last Dance or something like that.
Yeah, he'd get excited. Well, for Vici, I do want to continue this narrative ever so slightly because right now we're facing a Game 3. What do you think Fenrir is telling their players? Last statement, Gods. I can say it for you. I think it's going to be a Jayo as we get into game number 3 between VP and Vici Gaming.
Vici Gaming versus Virtus.Pro. Game 3.
Welcome back to the draft panel. I'm Frankie Ward. I am joined by Dota 2 obsessive Effie, who somehow manages to fit 14 games of Dota in a day, even when she's working on TI, and pro on hiatus, Insania. Insania, what did you describe that last draft as? This draft is like 100 to 1 going to beat Virtus.Pros.
So I was talking to Kyle last night, and he said, you know, if you are going to do predictions on the panel, it makes the rest of us look really bad if you're right all the time. So please try to get it wrong every once in a while. So I was just doing him a favor.
Sure, and he paid you handsomely, right?
What a nice guy.
What a nice guy. Okay, so the Elder Titan pick is coming through. Does this give you any idea of what we're going to be expecting from this draft, FP, or is it too early to really know?
It's a bit too early to know, but this hero has been the most successful support from the group stages, really. And he's just overall strong in a lot of ways. He has vision control, area control, strong in lane, and provides team fight. So if you can pick it up in your first phase, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think last game I saw some things that I thought were a little bit worrying if we're gonna take it into the serious stuff. I think Vici Gaming's execution did not look on point. So I would prefer to see them stay away from the Drow Ranger. I think that's a hero that you kind of have to know how to play around as a team and you need to know how to make it work. And I didn't really feel like they did. And based on these two openers, they seem to still believe in their Snapfire. I think it's a strong hero, and so is the Monkey King. But I think picking these two straight away, you notice that VP feel very comfortable snatching up the Storm, because they notice there's no real hard lockdown. There's no threat of the Lion. There's none of these like Rastas or anything coming out. So I think GPK is quite happy with this matchup.
GPK was absolutely instrumental on Puck in the last game, and now he's got Storm Spirit. That slipped through the net, and this is a hero that he played 6 times in the group stage.
So GPK Storm is quite famous actually because he's excellent on the hero, but sometimes you don't know what you're in for because it can be really 50-50 for him. But no, this is a really good Storm game for a couple of reasons, such as there aren't really any instant stuns. Yes, there is the Monkey King stun, but it's not the best one, and the Snapfire cookie is dodgeable. And if you have your Monkey King in the first phase, you already see the support. You see that this is a support duo. If this is going to transition to a core Monkey King, they can easily counterpick it, right? So this Storm coming out at that point, it just makes it so simple. This backline is very easy to jump, and Storm is one of the better heroes at killing Monkey King, I would say.
Yeah, plus you have this natural synergy with the Elder Titan Spirit where he's going to scout heroes out, and then Natural Order is going to provide magic damage amplification by reducing all the heroes' magic armor to 0. So you have Storm Spirit that's going to have bonus damage, and he's going to have vision of the hero he wants to jump. And we talked about this on a different panel, but the strength of Storm Spectre, because you see all the targets that you want to go on. And you're going to have a pretty similar thing going on with the ET Storm here.
That's a very good point.
Tell me, how much damage can a cookie do? What is a cookie?
Well, a cookie is a very delicious dessert. You can dip it in milk, and sometimes you don't need milk. And
Snapfire bakes them.
Depending on your calorie intake, it can do a lot of damage, but otherwise it's pretty delicious.
But Snapfire, so Snapfire gives out a cookie to one of the team members?
So yeah, you use it on one of your allies, and it kind of functions like a force staff. You'll jump forward a little bit, and there's even a talent, I believe, that gives you some health. But it deals around 200 damage and stuns you for like 2.5 seconds, something like that. So it's a bit of a longer stun than your average stun, but it is also a little bit trickier to hit.
And is that the reason that we're seeing Snapfire being picked so much? It feels like almost every game that I've been able to watch here, Snapfire has been a pick.
I wouldn't say so, because while Snapfire used to be played on Cookie when it was absolutely broken, it's not the most reliable stun. It's a nice save, and it's a nice kind of extra utility to have in your kit. But as TI has developed throughout the groups, the meta has been teamfight meta, right? So the re-emergence of supports like Snapfire become really popular and things like that, because she does have a very strong laning phase. She produces 2 kinds of damage, physical and magical, and she has a teamfight ulti. It's something that really fits into the way teams have been playing.
I think also LGD, the way that they've been using Snapfire is you buy that shard at 20 minutes and you buy a blink, and suddenly you have an instant stun. You have the blink Scatterblast, I believe it's called, and then you can follow it up with a cookie. So you have a pretty reliable like 3-second stun there once we reach 20 minutes into the game and the shard is available for Snapfire. This is also a really, really good lane. We've seen the synergy between the little Shredder and the Gush. You get a lot of minus armor, and then the Anchor Smash hits like a truck.
Old 11 picked Tidehunter 7 times in the group stage. We sort of touched on this in the first game draft, how Vici and VP, they hadn't really flexed away from their comfort picks during the group stage. And now it seems like the comfort picks are kind of being allowed by both teams in a way.
Yeah, I think VP are trying to cover their Storm pick, and that's why they banned the Queen of Pains primarily for the laning phase, and then the Puck for the issues we saw in the last game, right? You get coiled, you die. And Storm can run into that same issue. So they felt the need to ban those out. And then I think this Tidehunter is something that we saw even all the way back at TI8 as an answer to Elder Titan, or TI9 maybe. But basically the idea is when the Elder Titan uses a Spirit and he's going to run at you during the laning phase, you just gush him, remove all of his armor, and then you just fight him with your heroes. So instead of running away.
Agreed. And if you'll notice, Vici covered this Tidehunter ban in advance just by banning out things like Ursa and Medusa so he can have a better lane. Because the way that Tidehunter functions as a hero is while he is defensive, he kind of does lead these pushes. He functions as sort of a shield for his team to play behind. And Ravage is a teamfight spell. If you add it with Mortimer's Kisses, you can instantly burst one of these targets. The only issue is, my problem with high cooldown drafts is that it just feels very dependent on having a decent start. If you fall behind in the beginning and you're playing on high cooldowns, you put yourself in a bad position on the map.
Especially, I guess, as VP do like to play fast and furious, so Vici potentially early game, they might struggle.
I wouldn't say so, because their lanes are not weak.
Yeah, I think, I mean, VP are looking to put the pressure on in the laning phase. If you look at the heroes they picked, like you have both Elder Titan and Bane, both considered to be rather strong laners. I think the idea here of picking up a new position 5 hero is to move your Elder Titan away from the Snapfire Tidehunter matchup. You don't want to lane into those two heroes and put it on the opposite end, so we might see VP save play it here. And I think they actually might regret this Bane pick, because I think, especially when it comes to Eastern Europe, when I see Tidehunter, I almost instantly think Disruptor. It's a hero that like the region is really known for playing, and I know it's one of Ilia's stronger heroes. And I would have liked to see it here. I think it made a lot of sense with the Luna. It's really strong against Tidehunter in the game. And I think not having a set answer for Tide might be something they regret.
Well, in the groups, they played the Bane and Storm Spirit combo 3 times, and it has a 100% win rate. But that's information for Vici. They've seen this before.
But it's also because they had an IO as well when they did run it like that, and the IO plus Storm combination was the more potent one, right? But they did run the Bane as their favorite support.
And Vici have just banned IO as, I think, the first ban every single game so far.
This is going to be the most contested hero just between these two teams in particular, because they're both IO teams, so there's no way they'll let the other person get it. I just want to comment really quickly on this Terrorblade pick, because Terrorblade is traditionally an excellent carry, especially versus Luna, because if you use Reflection, you just get a Luna illusion hitting her team. So I'm a bit surprised that it was let through.
You also have the same factor that we had talked about in the last game, where how the Drow outranges the Medusa, which might make it problematic for Medusa to fight. Terrorblade has a very similar situation with Luna, where you have more attack range, so you can stay back, plus you have your illusions to tank the Eclipse. So it's hard for Luna to get on top of you, but what we saw during the any majors, a lot of Luna started buying the Shard, building it to Daedalus, and then using the Shard Lucent Beam to deal damage.
Agreed. That build has been nerfed slightly, but it can still be very strong. I like that Vici learned a little bit from their last game, because when Drow was put in a position where she was playing from behind, when Puck started to become very strong, it's not really a hero with a built-in comeback mechanism, right? It just really depends on your positioning and if you're able to stand somewhere in a fight. Whereas Terrorblade, if he's put in a position where he's playing from behind, he can send his illusions out and just push out lanes, which provides a lot more for his team.
So, what is VP missing? What do they need as their final pick?
I think unlike the last game, they have quite a lot of options here. I think if you look at VP's draft at the moment, it's fairly well-rounded. They have Storm and Bane for some sort of like map pressure initiation type situation. You have the Luna ET for team fight, and it's basically going to come down to what is GPK like here, what direction do they want to take their draft in. It's going to be a fairly defining pick. Whatever they decide to do here is going to, in some ways, set up how they enable the Luna, or if they're going to try to go for the double core win condition. I think they have a lot of options.
Yeah, and I suppose while Terrorblade is a concern for Luna, he is playing against ET. So ET's natural order removes base armor, and Terrorblade, who's an incredibly high agility hero, has a lot of base armor. So typically he's been a counter in the past. But it does seem like he has protection in the Tidehunter. I would like for Vici to get something that goes in first.
Currently, Insania, which draft do you feel most confident about? Because you're on hiatus from your pro career, so it's okay. You're allowed to make mistakes.
Ex-professional player Insania.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have advantages. It's like depending on, I feel like a lot of these games are coming down to execution a lot and how well you're able to utilize your timings in the game. I think the thing that VP has going for them is, like we said, the Elder Titan aura together as an answer to the Terrorblade, but the problem is how do you get past the Tidehunter? So can Save get to Aghanims in time and get a Shard to enable him to just stomp his way on top of the Terrorblade? If he's able to do it, I think VP has an edge, but I think Vici are very capable of fighting back.
There are many Dota newcomers, I think, who are really excited to see Underlord in the game, because he's a very newcomer-friendly pick. So
There's no one as excited as you about that.
I was really happy about Dark Willow in the last game, and I'm especially happy about Pity McPitface making the draft for Virtus.Pro, so I'm going to be completely biased now.
Is that his name?
I call him Pity McPitface, because he creates the pit.
I can kind of see it.
I mean, I'm not saying he's got acne. I'm just saying he used to be called Pit, right?
Pit
Yes.
Lord.
Yeah, Pit Lord. Exactly. Hit him at Pit face.
Yeah. Strong
Anyway,
hero against illusions.
Back to the draft.
Yeah.
Speaking of Underlord, he should be able to deal with Terrablade's illusions fine, and Pit of Malice is a nice spell, particularly versus something like Monkey King that can't jump to trees if it gets rooted, so there's something nice there. He also excels in defending towers early, which is something that VP lacked, so he does tick that box.
I was just gonna say, I think it's also a very, very good hero against the spirits. And when you mentioned that, you know, VG wants a hero that goes in front, and that's exactly what they were looking for, the type of hero where you find initiation, and Ember fills that role. I think Ember Spirit at this event has looked to me like one of the best heroes in the game, if it's able to play the game and doesn't fall too far behind. And the Underlord kind of covers it preemptively, because when you see the Remnant fly through, you can put the pit down, and then Ember has a really hard time playing the game.
All right, then, let's see what BSJ has to say in his last word before we get into the final game of this series.
Thank you, Frankie. As both these teams...
Menang fair bet sih kayaknya.
Prepare for battle. "30 seconds to battle.
Huzzah!
The battle begins.
Denied! Ha!
But yeah, I mean, bottom is a double melee lane.
I don't think it's
not
easy.
into just ET, but into Luna as well. Luna thrives versus these double melee heroes. Side pulls available too. I think they're going to get a side pull off as well.
That's 3 range creeps, right?
I believe so. That is quite disastrous. I mean, DY is trying so hard to get the aggro back.
He's going to get at least one of them back over.
Should actually get them all over. So good job from DY to secure at least not losing 3 creeps of experience potentially for his tide.
Crisis averted only just there. That would have been rather nasty for Old 11 to miss out on that much this early on.
VP's lane's looking super high. I mean, mid is 13-7 to 2-0. What the?
Vici, they've not got a mid. What's happening?
Ori's getting destroyed.
Oh dear.
I know it's a Storm-favored matchup, but not like this. 13-8 to 4-0. Like you said, GPK must still be on a bit of power from that last game.
Oh my goodness.
Even getting the range creep denied with the Vortex there too. I mean, he has...
Have we seen much of a beat down here, this TI in the mid lane on the first couple of minutes?
No. That is just insane. Of course it gets better as levels go on for the Ember Spirit, but it's never this bad. No.
That's... Well, if that's how he's starting this game, I mean, as you said, we saw what he did last time. Last game.
He's even stacking his small cap as well. Like, he's being super big. He's going to send the high 5 toward Ori. GPK is absolutely feeling himself.
He doesn't go back for the high 5. He might miss that as well. Missing everything else in this mid lane so far. It's not easy for Ori.
And bottom, 72 on the Luna. Tied under. We are still seeing 11 get some really solid farm. This stump will connect. He should still be fine. But what a start for VP. Top, also getting the kill.
Oh, let this nightmare.
Lane setup's working perfectly for VP.
This is wild. Bottom lane, who will manage to take down Kingslayer here? Old 11 and DY. Now they've got the Ring of Health on Old 11. He's going to be feeling a little bit beefier.
Not slowing down the Luna, though. Luna's still free farming. TB is getting slowed down. And as we mentioned, they do have a lot of these heroes that are anti-carries, as we always like to call them. The Underlord and that ET into the Terrorblade, and also the Bane. Something with people we also have to factor in, which will be something that I think will be more noticeable than usual because it's a 4-position Bane. I want to say that save is going to get points of enfeeble, and you're going to notice it versus Terrorblade because it's a very strong ability that I feel like most people overlook. It's a 45% attack reduction, so later stages we'll see it because it's a 4-position, so he's going to definitely have more items and more ways to be able to actually play around that rather than just sleep and ults.
Yeah, if Ori's able to recover this game, you've got to remember the position he's in now. If he's able to pick it up from this is going to be quite the turnaround.
They're setting up for him.
First Remnant will be out of range. Might not matter though. Is able to dodge the second one with the sleight of fist, and Remnant and the fire shield is up, so blocking a fair bit of aggression here for the two of them. DY will TP over.
He might just die himself.
I think he might. Oh, he's able to get the
he dodged the damage.
Okay, DY take it down. GPK here with Ori. Can they get save as well? He'll die to a neutral, but still big move from DY. Ori needed that so badly in the mid lane. DY coming in clutch to help pick Ori's game back up.
He dodged the Remnant damage too. It was very close to him perhaps going down, but gets that Jingu built up, dodges the damage, gets the boundless perfectly. Does leave Old 11 alone bottom to get chased up from the Luminant ET, but had to come in.
Absolutely.
Has to help Ori just because of how disastrous mid is going, but he might have to help everything, because if you look at top also, Poyoyo is 21-4, 29-11 on the Underlord too. These lane setups, as we mentioned, top tier from VP already.
We'll see mid. Aggression again for GPK, but let's have a look how many heroes they have coming mid.
Double rotation.
They are done with GPK. They want him out of this lane. The boys coming in big time here to back up Ori. DY and PYW making sure they pick up their mids game.
But since 11's left bottom again, instant move by VP to capitalize on top of that. So it ends up coming up, I mean, pretty even all in all. Sure, they take out GPK, but it's something necessary, and they will lose side lane because of it. Rune, though, is sitting secured, which is pretty big. Because of that kill, does allow the Ember to also get a regen rune.
We'll see where sort of the supports of Vici Gaming look to put their attention now. Now they've taken down GPK the 2 times in the mid lane. That is, that's a significant sort of allowance for Ori to catch back up. That distance now between the two mids, it's pretty much non-existent. You see on the net worth, pretty much even.
Yeah.
So mid, it's been recovered. Vici Gaming, they've sorted that area out. Now they've got to see how they can go back and compensate for sort of the time they were left away from these off lanes and leaving their cores on their own.
Absolutely.
And DY back down here now to make sure that old Levin is not under threat from the two of them again.
Yeah, it's cool that he's gone for the 2-0-2 build. We were in the beginning seeing everybody getting tree dance level 1, so you can secure range creep and all that, but because, like you mentioned, he was versus like that short-range Luna and also versus the ET, he just wanted to be able to trade these hits. So obviously you can understand his skill build there. Holding the creep wave for Old 11, and I mean, Old 11 really needs it. He's level 4 tied, so I think DY has to keep his attention down here for some time.
And with this sort of lineup from Vici Gaming, this Underlord, Luna, do you expect things to ramp up pretty quickly at a certain point?
Just because the Underlord's having a good game, such a good game, yeah, I can see them just looking to play around him to get those early towers out. But I don't think that Vici's going to stray too far away from the fights. They're going to look to fight us for a lot this game. Terrorblade's going to be farming on the sides, and this Ember's going to have to be super active since Ori is fully recovered completely. And that's why they picked the Ember in this game, is so that he can be that super active hero, because he has to be versus both the Luna as well as that Storm once he starts getting points and chains, because he is the catch for that Storm in the mid game. Should be a pretty action-packed one, Owen.
This game's going to blow wide open, you know it. Once the sixes start to come online.
Nightfall is camping the Remnant bottom, trying to make sure that he gets a rune, but Haste Rune will spawn top. Ori gets the secondary power rune of the game.
Just be a little bit careful with that haste in his bottle. Definitely the potential to make some big hits on the side lanes if VP start to get aggressive close to the towers of Vici.
And he's got the max slight build with phase boots with the Blightstone, so he's going to hurt.
It really does.
No chains though, but the constant poke could still catch heroes out. Nice sleep, but gets woken up.
Still going to try and chase on a little bit, but as you said, without the control on himself, won't be able to set up onto GPK. GPK, a little short on the initial zip. Still going to play on the high ground here with the haste rune. Ori, he's looking to chase down the support. Looking for save, but DM lays down the pit. Or he'll stop to dig up a south. GPK's going to look to jump in back over to PYW. He's still got a fair bit of mana to play with GPK. He wants to try and chase down the Snapfire. Has he got enough in the tank to take down PYW? He does. GPK gets the kill. Back over to the side, save. Momentarily holding Ori in position with the Nightmare. And they won't have anything back up to root him in position, so Ori breaks away.
Great play from Save there. Just a Nightmare coming into play. Maxing it first, of course, as we see. And they will fill up the bottle. So mid, GPK gets his bottle filled. Did not fill up Ori's. He will have a bounty rune to work with, but space built for both of these carries. We see Luna all the way up at the top. Poyoyo even popping meta just to farm jungle camps. Not even for an Ancient. It's just a single stacked hard camp, and he pops meta. Just has to try to catch up somehow.
Lovely stacks here for Ori. Get himself back on track for a good amount of time in this game. They've got him in the river. Poyoyo stepping over the meta, will be held back by the Stomp. So Kingslayer can look to get his way out of this at all. GPK has managed to jump over the back lanes, get on top of Poyoyo. A cookie to the side, but there's no further help. Poyoyo to fall.
Not worth it for Poyoyo at all. Just wants to get a kill and get out, but GPK, again, just being this ruthless killer as we saw him in the last game too. Constantly making moves around the map.
Absolutely, he made Poyoyo's game last game too pretty miserable.
Yeah,
he's going to be looking to do the exact same this time round, and already the signs of that beginning.
Don't think we'll see Poyoyo's face for quite some time anymore. I think he's just going to look to just hit the jungle for the next few moments, and he has to. He's already 900 behind the Luna. Luna, once you get if Luna gets an advantage at the beginning, then she's going to outfarm that Terrorblade. With a Mask of Madness already finished up, level 9, max Glaives. It's only level 7 on Poyoyo. He doesn't have the mobility, he doesn't have the same levels at all to be able to get that farm going.
Trying to dive in and find DY here behind the tower. TP not going to be coming in.
He is being so aggressive on this Storm Spirit.
DY has to be very cautious if he shows, but sticking to the trees, he won't be jumping down anytime soon. This tower will have to be let slowly gone. On 11.
Is under attack.
Trying to see if we can find Save behind the tower here. Won't be the case. And Save will not be receiving any backup here either by the looks of it. As Vici Gaming should be able to get the tier 1 tower trade.
Radiant's bottom
still hanging around for a moment, but yeah, this tower definitely gonna go down. now starting to get some more points in the chains. We see Ori's got 1 point in it. He also finds his own fairy trinket, as we did see GPK having that. VP getting more farm out of the map, though. We even see DM walking into enemy jungle, just starts firestorming. He's very tanky, has the
GPK.
Vanguard finished up already, and GPK is just hunting.
He's tempted to dive. He's still sort of eyeing up this area, knowing that if DY comes anywhere away from the tower, he could go for it.
Just gonna cut the wave.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
DM he's tanking up big time, getting the rod next after the Vanguard, so they have that further setup against the Ember.
Yeah, it's such a good game for it. He needs to be that answer. That's why they went for that last pick Underlord. He needs to be the answer versus that Ember Spirit, so I really like if he does commit for that build.
Odd Lemon looks for the side. He has got the Ravage at the ready if he wants to pop it. DM, he's going to look to try and rift out of there.
Tanky.
The damage for the kisses is not going to be enough. He is out and away.
That is fun, too. The Dark Rift into Pig Pole, so you run a little bit faster away from them so they can't connect with all those kisses. Great play. Immediately back to the mid lane, and he's just going to stall this mid tower as long as possible so Vici can't push it.
Yeah. Straight back to hold and
is under attack.
Just allows Nightfall to have absolute free farm in the triangle.
Yeah, straight for that BKB next after the Mask and the Dragon Lance, showing his willingness to get involved in fights as soon as possible.
I actually really do like that. Versus these, it's just become more and more valuable because all these Dragonlance heroes, you can just disassemble into the BKB and you're playing versus Tidehunter.
Look at the quick catch on Kingslayer.
He's a little too fast. They're going to have to commit a remnant.
There's no running here from Ori at this stage.
I've never heard that one before.
Tower is under attack.
Level 12 on the Luna. Level 9 on Poyoyo. Struggling to catch back up. Does have his Yasha, so will have that increased farm pace. But just the levels from the Luna, as we said, he's going to accelerate that much further. And the pressure that VP is putting on the map is just a little bit more than Vici is. And they just can't push mid. DM is just tanky enough to just sit in mid, continuously firestorm. But on the other side too, VP's not pushing mid either. Still looking to set up for kills around the map. Save.
And Nightfall momentarily showing himself up top, but indeed the attention seeming to be down bottom. Save. He's going to put a stop to this. Old Lemon not quite able to get close enough to lean in. Save. He's going to go for the TP out, but they'll find him. Boundless strike down through the trees. DY catches the bang.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And the rune also spawns bottom for Ori. GPK getting quite unfortunate there with his luck. Just was waiting for top rune, just again spawns on the opposite side of him. And it's a very good one for Ori, of course. It's a regen rune when he's completely out of mana.
Rune of regeneration.
11 starting to feel pretty strong with his hood, 1600 HP, almost has Blink Dagger.
That's
I
close.
feel like this game's going to start exploding in action very soon as that Blink does come out, and as soon as the Atos comes out on DM, it's just going to look to be more plays around the map.
It's just
right now, it's just a bit more farm since the Luna and TB want to hit that timing.
Yeah, so important that Nightfall has the BKB for when that jump Ravage comes in.
He's close. He's only 1,000 away if he disassembles.
I mean, the question is if Vici Gaming are going to be able to make a fight happen before it's there. If they could jump in with the Ravage, they come in with a full Remnant Burst, kisses from a distance. Luna's life definitely still in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
Radiant are scanning.
They're looking to get active. GPK smoked up around this rune as well, around nighttime.
Dire's middle
DY
tower
breaks
is
it.
under attack.
And gets the bounty, and jumps away. Nice move from DY.
Making that space and wasting their time here. Taking attention away from Poyoyo as much as he can.
Look at PYW, a little sneaky devil here. He gets the ward down from earlier, still hiding inside the tree lines. DM forcing bottom in.
Just a recipe away from the Atos.
Look at BYW though, cuts the creep wave from where DM is. And TP's toward the mid lane so he can keep himself on the map.
Vici Gaming, they want to try and set up for this top tower. Let's see if they force a response and get VP to fight into this Blink Ravage. It doesn't look like VP's going to fall for that. Nightfall staying on the opposite half of the map.
Dire's bottom
say just being incredibly cautious until he does have the BKB complete. Some TPs from VP starting to come in.
DM's here. The
They've got the setup, the grip for the trees. They need help, but they need it now.
They use the boundless for the waves.
He already hit DY. He's got nothing else to throw out to help him.
Excellent positioning there from Save, but DY has to hold the boundless for these situations. Huge pick. 20 seconds now where they can swing across the map. See what GPK looks to find with it. Walking behind towers.
Ooh, I mean, PYW was a bit low.
Here I am.
He's committing.
He's going to get aggressive on a DY. He's got to be careful, GPK. He'll back off to the side there. I think pretty important that Safe did get that Nightmare off. I think Odd 11 would have looked for a Blink Ravage if he could have. As GPK was pretty much entirely out of mana. So good hold back there from Safe.
Very aggressive from GPK when he has like pretty limited resources. Still looking to be active. And there's the Atos finished up. Nightfall has bought some time for himself too, that he's like, you know what, I'm not going to disassemble because no fight really kicked off, nothing was being forced. I can stall out the BKB a little bit longer, and he's going to have a really good fight timing with BKB and Dragonlance.
For sure.
Better than Poyoyo is, because Poyoyo, he's still shy of that BKB.
It's not too far though.
Not too far.
Might be able to push it until he can get that.
But Ori's game is going to be difficult. His Atos is finished, and he only has a Maelstrom. So if they just get the initiation onto this Ember Spirit in almost every fight, he's just going to die from the Chain Stun.
They're looking at DM top. I don't think they're killing this man. Just a simple rift out underneath them, and he's away. They cannot burst through the HP of this Underlord right now.
He has 2200 HP. And now Kisses are down. She's a pretty big tool right now for Vici to take these team fights around the Ravage. That's one of their biggest damaging tools at the moment. So VP should be able to fight back. They don't have to wait for any of these big cooldowns is the thing for their lineup too. Just Atos, a Root. If they see Ember Spirit, it's a kill. Next few moments, VP looking to claim a bit of a more aggressive stance. Walking into the enemy triangle. DM. Doesn't have backup, but you can see, of course, the pit into the Atos, how strong it can be versus the Ember.
Oh,
and behind.
They make the dive. GPK goes in straight away on a PYW. The Nightmare comes out, but the Ravage will come after catching GPK. This time, Odd 11 able to punish him for the dive. Grip onto the Ember Spirit. Ori, he needs help, but he's not going to get it. Nightfall pushing back the rest of Vici Gaming here as the Eclipse comes out. Vici Gaming have to step to the side. Poyoyo and DY now looking to turn up. The Boundless Strike goes crashing down on the two that kicks there, looking to turn with the stop. Holds back both of them, but he won't be able to stop Odd 11, or maybe with the help of DM they can. The pit is enough. Odd 11 can't continue to chase. They lose the two of them, VP. They'll get the rest of them out of there.
Whose neutral item was that? Did they steal it? I think they did, right? There was a Pupil's Gift that dropped on the ground. I believe that VP stole it from Vici during that go. I see an Underlord with a Pupil's Gift that was nobody's. So I think they actually did steal the neutral item from them.
Radiant are scanning.
We'll see again at the start of this fight. GPK really wanting to get a kill before everything happened. Very close to sort of making a cool dodge with the Nightmare, but the Ravage coming in after. No escape for GPK. I mean, with the way that the fight started, it did look a bit rough for VP, but able to redeem it a little bit by getting that trade on Ori.
As we mentioned, though, Vici, a lot more cooldown reliant. Ravage is down, Meta's down. VP have to look to take advantage of that. Fiend Script was used, but they don't need that to be able to set up for any of these kills. So definitely want to look to see them hit hard right now with those being on cooldown.
And here we go, smoke time from VP.
Definitely want to still try to claim that mid tower. 200 HP, gonna open up the map for them.
Safe.
They're gonna walk right into PYW.
GPK, he's been a bit before, he'll go here again. Behind the team, one spots PYW, Snapfire. No hesitancy at all.
I kind of want to see VP keep going. Ravage is on cooldown, Meta is on cooldown. You know how weak this Ember Spirit is at the moment. Keep looking for kills.
Yeah,
you got a big window right now.
You catch Ori in a pit and a rod, he will die. The Eclipse is back up in less than 20 seconds.
Poyoyo, very likely that you won't get the kill on him because he has the BKB done now, but they have time to be able to go in the Roche with a beautiful DD outside the pit. Very ideal timing. Gets scanned, but it's with the fresh picked up Crystallis, it's dying fast.
And BKB's ready to go in for Nightfall. So maybe they can look for a steal, but if they do so, they're going to lose lives for it.
10 on Ravage. It's going to die before Ravage is up.
They're a little careful. VP, they're backing off a little bit. Nightfall will continue to go. The kisses are coming in, but Nightfall's got the kill. He's got the Aegis. Over to the side, GPK looking to start things on to 11. They're going to they've got the grip. They've got the grip. They've managed to hold in place this terrible player. Now to back off. The Ravage comes out, but Old 11 just getting destroyed by the damage of GPK. Nightfall. As Old 11 actually able to make it away. Only just a slither of HP. Old 11 actually somehow manages to get out of there. But DY goes down, and VP, they got what they were going for. Roshan killed, Aegis on Nightfall.
It's a huge fight. Ravage was used as well, so now they have a 2-minute window where, again, they can look to continue to make plays with this Aegis. Sure, meta's up, so they just have to watch out for when Poyoyo shows up in the fight, but this is a big window right now for VP to get a lot of space on the map, a lot done, and Nightfall's already got the pretty much two of the bigger items that you ideally want versus this Terrorblade. He's got his shard done, and he's got the small crit. So now he can start using the beams from a distance, spamming them to hit that Terrorblade in the back lines, and then he's gonna go for that next big item, which is the biggest one, of course, for TB, which is that Eye of Scotty on Luna. It says less than 1K, but it's starting to feel like a pretty comfortable position for VP. They will lose save, though.
They did not stand a chance there. Immediately, Poyoyo popping the meta. Maybe expecting a little bit more than just the Bane to turn up, but it was just save. Rest of Vici game, they've got a couple of them smoked to see if they can take advantage of VP whilst they're a little separate from one another. DM, the only one down here right now. They want to try and dive in onto him. It could be a bit of a tricky kill. They're going to try it. See if they've got the damage here underneath the tier 2. Looking for DM. He's going to try for the rift down, but they have enough damage. They got Nightfall. He's trying to turn up. Can he kill them here? He'll look for the Monkey King, but now with the sun, the Nightfall's HP more incredibly low. They'll burst him the once.
And his BKB's down.
Oh, he's going to need help.
They got Cookie.
I don't know if he's going to be able to get a GPK sits forward, trying to bail out. It's Luna here. Turns over towards down lane. They've taken out Poyoyo. The ground back on the P1W, but they've lost Nightfall. GPK still with mana to play with as he goes over towards, or he zips over towards PYW. PYW cannot escape this as he gets brain sapped out of the game. Old 11 blinking back in the madman to kill off Kingslayer. He's tanking. He knows GPK's low on mana, but Grip is back up. The Bane with the brain sap. Nice. And still got 1k HP here.
Still should be able to do it. They even have, they have a Fiend's Grip. They don't want to use it.
No,
they have a Brain Sap. They should be able to get him.
He's got hook back up in 10 seconds.
Let's see.
Old 11's tanky.
They're going to use it. Okay. I was going to say, he's just going to go for it. And they got him.
With the fishes.
Maybe a bit there, but...
Sure, but all in all, I mean, that's quite a lot of... they do manage to dive in. They get Nightfall. They're able to get DM, of course, as well before he rifts out, but... losing a fair few heroes off the back of that dive.
I think DM also played it like, I think he should, like, if he had rifted earlier, he also didn't use Essence Ring, is another thing pointing out. He used his spells first instead of using the rift first. Perhaps he rifts, then drops the pit, then drops everything else. Maybe he has a little bit more of a window because of that Crimson block, but either way, I don't think VP's too fussed about that one. Sure, they lose the Luna, but GPK starts to get some big cleanup kills for himself.
Now, did we see here? GPK, just a fantastic fight. The BKB was only just picked up right before that fight, so not turning up at a perfect time. And that decision as well, Poyoyo, he was able to potentially have TP'd out, but deciding to cancel it, to stick around with the team, cost him his lives and some of the others around him there. They did have the opportunity to back out of that after that initial dive, but they decided to stick around, and it did hurt them, Vici.
Every single one of those deaths will add up too. He's 2,500 gold behind the Luna, so this timing of the Eye of Scotty is gonna be there a little bit faster there for Nightfall. Ori does have a BKB of his own now, so doesn't have to worry so much about that pit. Most of the disable actually is gonna be handled because of that, besides the Fiend's Grip. Still very close game, but definitely feeling that power for Nightfall. Just being that much farmed, that much more farmed than the TB. Almost level 20 as well on him. And yeah, Scotty timing on both of these cores is going to be massive.
Where's the ball? GPK is going to look for the jump and straight away. The grab onto Ori. Ori's gone. Immediate reaction there for GPK, zipping straight over. As soon as they fell for the bait, they've got the grab.
What a grab! Look at the distance.
This feed script from a mile off.
Blown away.
It's really in that area, in these type of small little clusters too, versus ET, where he's got the Spirit down, he gets the Splitter pretty much down on everybody too. They're able to just fully clean up as well with the clips. That is a big fight for VP. Right after the Luna's already ahead by 2.5k, getting cleanup kills. Now he's going to be he's going to be a full item ahead now, actually. He's going to go for Butterfly instead of going for that Scotty. So he's just going to be more survivable versus just the Terrorblade, which I think he's starting to notice. I think only TB is going to be my issue in this game.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Now what can Poyoyo do? Things falling apart a little bit around it.
Sure is. Ori just keeps getting destroyed.
He's had a tough game. It's not been a fun one for Ori. Straight from the landing stage, fully focusing him. GPK.
He didn't even get his BKB off in the last fight. He just got incinerated from all the damage. Save. He's a bit tanky on this.
He's got a bit of backup. Able to get him away from the slight combo from Ori. He's fine. He'll live for now, and there it is. Butterfly done on Nightfall.
That's a timing.
Straight up with the smoke. They're ready to go with the move straight into the high ground. GPK just leads in. He's ready to go straight on a PYW. The setup route is caught. The Ori has to put the BKB in back off.
Ooh. Great play from DM there from the low ground.
They're going to look towards DM now again. GPK puts the BKB. He's on the DY.
They're on Ori.
The grab back. He's got the grab. Ori's just got DY as well.
Poyoyo.
Poyoyo, he's only got Old 11 by his side. Old 11 does have a Ravage available. He's hiding in a pit for now. The grip holding in position. The Ravage comes out of the 5 of them. But do they have the damage to turn this around? Old 11 trying to go for save with the stick of the brain strap. Keeps him alive. Save. Still going DY. They've cut the tree. GPK zips over. Finds DY hiding in the trees. Everybody dead on Vici Gaming.
A beautiful, picture perfect, right, really, fight from VP. My goodness, from the start of it to the end, catching Ori in the beginning, forcing his BKB, then he can't really do much inside of the fight, and then the patience from the Bane, holding that Fiend's grip, waiting for the BKB from Poyoyo. As soon as he turns up, this Luna is a menace now too. Look at this farm.
Look at, I mean, GPK, I mean, he's doing it again. He's doing it again this game. We saw it last game and sort of his play style. This one, once again, just absolutely fearless, diving in, starting the action off. And in these little moments where it looks like maybe some of Vici Gaming's cores are going to get to play the game, they just don't. The grab on the Ember without the BKB, there's no chance for Ori. And at this point, it's just too late for any sort of turnaround. Old 11 is able to hit the majority of them with the Ravage, but it doesn't matter at this stage.
It's just so good for VP when they're able to start the fights like that, because then they just preemptively pop the BKBs, they focus fire targets, and Old 11's just watching from the sidelines like, I have no option, guys. I cannot go to try to go for a Ravage here. VP coming out way ahead now, picking up a Bloodstone right before the fight too for the Storm, up to 19 charges, level 21, level 23 on the Luna. And like we said, he was 2,500 gold ahead just a few moments ago. Now he's 7,000 gold ahead of the Terrorblade. Things have spiraled completely out of control for Vici.
Top tower is under attack.
They've got a Scotty timing now on Poyoyo, but he can't even hit the Luna. There's a butterfly they're always getting initiated onto, and on top of a butterfly, there's going to be a Satanic done in a second.
Oh my goodness, level 23. Yeah. This is, I mean, Old 11.
And the Satanic timing also with these Lunas, when you have this shard build, it's so hard to kill them. Because then they're attacking, they pop a beam. It's like all this healing that comes in from the beam as well as their attacks.
11, he's just dead outside the base.
Every time.
Oh. I mean, yeah, GPK's going for that. He's not letting him step back up from this. Godlike on the Storm here.
You can tell he's pretty mad about that first game with his Razor. Having a very clean series since then.
I mean, it's quite a difference in the hero. I feel sometimes you see these sort of players like GPK, you put them on something like a Razor, it feels like you're limiting their potential. You get them on these mobile heroes, the Pucks, the Storm Spirits, and they are just completely owning the game.
He's just super confident, right? The way he's starting the fights over and over and over again. Like Vici hasn't had a situation where they've started the fight ever in this game. Into Roche they go.
Yep. This will be a freebie for them. Yep. Vici Gaming not making it out of the base, especially whilst Old 11's down.
And they've already got the covers as well, as we always talk about. The panel was saying the TB versus the Luna. DM, I love it. Item build, Crimson Guard, into Atos, into Lotus Orb, so he can Lotus Orb Nightfall to protect him from reflection and versus any type of Sunder plays. Vici, this feels like it might be like a last-ditch effort for them.
Oh.
The jump.
Oh, he got the shard.
He got the shard. Okay.
All right, he got something. He got something.
Better than nothing. Did he get the last? Nah, it was close though. Next few fights though feel like they're going to be some 4D chess that has to come out from Vici in order to have any chance.
I am 98%.
Yeah. They don't have the MKB even on the Terrorblade, so he cannot ever stand toe-to-toe.
Oh, Ravage will put a stop to that Fiend's grip.
But he's still alive. The Bane is fine.
I mean, Ori's going to at least live. He's able to get out of there. You see GPK go straight for the backlines on top of PYW. Beam comes in for the sidelines, and Nightfall lays down the Lucid Beam. Old Levin trying to run down Save, but Save is
still alive.
He can't even kill the Bane. And Save just walks away. VP in with the backup. Another trade here where VP just getting the kills. Vici Gaming not able to find anything in return. The money for the Axe done here for Save.
The 4-position Bane is working. Nightfall.
The defense. DY.
It's too much heals.
It's too much damage. The DY's gone. Jump forward for GPK. Poyo will turn with the BKB in the meta trying to hold. GPK is not the man of silenced up. See if they can get any of the kills here. Nightfall looking towards Old 11. Sunder gets it back up to full HP. Poyo. Slight comes in onto Nightfall, but Nightfall is still alive. He's looking back over on Poyo. Poyo to fall. Out of the game. No buyback on the Terrorblade. They'll lose Nightfall the once, but he's ready to come back with that Aegis. 3 dead on Vici Gaming. No buybacks that we had. The big one there being Poyo. Short of the money.
Dire's bottom
as this reacts, it's all VPs. Tier 2s on all the other lanes already dealt with. They could very easily look for more here, VP.
They have so much time. Ravage was used earlier before that fight even kicked off. TB Meta was used. This game is in the books, it feels like now for VP. Fiend's Grip back up. We get to maybe witness an Axe Fiend's Grip for the first time on TI.
Middle tower has fallen.
Some fantastic control so far from Save. So many of these fights where they've tried to go on him, but nightmares, brain saps, Fiend's Grips, it just doesn't do anything rapid. He's gone in deep. He has put himself back with the Lotus into the chains. PYW, he'll still die though. The grip is there onto Ori. Save having the reach to take him down.
Top tower is under attack.
So buyback comes out from PYW, starts to rain down the kisses to back VP off, but VP they'll more than happily swing up to the top lane. Look to finish up that final set of racks, get these mega creeps out. There's 50 seconds, no Ori.
And Vici has to just watch. They don't even have meta, so there's literally nothing they can do to defend this. It's just gonna have to be them, fighting versus mega creeps, and
they're gonna try.
They most definitely cannot do so, but they're gonna try to make a play.
Got the Ravage. What can they do here? Jump forward, they get the Ravage, then they're gonna look to try and blow up Nightfall. Everybody on top of the Luna. Can they kill him? Sometimes brought in with a Nightmare, allows him to put the BKB. He's turning, he's ready to heal back up, brings down DY. GG is called. Virtus.Pro will take this game 3. The series, it's theirs as they'll knock down Vici Gaming.
Victory.
What a performance by the cores on VP in these last 2 games. Itemization on point. I love DM in this game. Going for his Crimson Guard, going.
Hilang anjing.
Time. Effort just across the board, for sure. Everybody popping off. Very hard to really point someone out again, but you maybe do just have to say GPK once more. These playmaking heroes. He just single-handedly destroyed Vici Gaming. It felt at the start of every fight, GPK's target prioritization, it was just perfect. He could not have played any of these fights any better than he did here.
100% agreed. Top-tier performance from him and his team.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Virtus.Pro with a very, very impressive couple of games to close that series up. They'll take this one 2-1 against Vici Gaming.
Well, there we go. Virtus.Pro's coach's reaction as they win that game. And what an exciting series. What an exciting game specifically that was. And we can talk about Vici in a second, but I want to concentrate first on the winners, on Virtus.Pro. Lizard, I saw you were a bit excited. What did they do right?
Nah, I'm just so happy for them. Like, this is such a big victory for such a young team.
The youngest team at TI.
The youngest team at TI means so much for them. I'm not gonna talk about the prize that they've just got for themselves if they don't manage.
The youngest team at TI getting top 6 at their first ever international. It's not like there's a couple of young players being, you know, mentored and carried by experienced veterans. It's just 19, 20, 21-year-olds, and here they are, top 6. And they bounce back from that one-game deficit. I think that was the questions with VP, is like, can they bounce back? Do they have the mental game? Both majors, they did kind of poorly. And here, they kind of, you know, shrugged off those demons.
And it's 100% them that showed mental fortitude in this best of 3. Vici Gaming, they faltered a little bit. Those last couple of 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, looked very rough. They had a couple of questionable team fights.
Okay.
One hero after another running in.
Can you elaborate a bit? What team fight really stood out to you for Vici Gaming?
It was the bottom one that started everything off, wasn't it?
When he canceled the TP out?
Yeah, when he cancels the TP, and at first it looks good, and I could see the idea behind it, because Snap, he was priming up the stun on the Ember Spirit, but he misses it. It's a split second. It's literally nothing. You miss that stun, the whole team fight goes wrong. And after that, Tidehunter, I thought that they would be relaxed, because Tidehunter was playing with them in the jungle for a couple of minutes. You could feel like, and then they just kept on dying one by one. Every single fight that happened afterwards.
Yeah, they felt like they kept forcing it too much, like that. Like Vici Gaming are still a relatively newer team for some of their, most of their players when it comes to playing at TI. So, you know, you look at 6, he's at the top 8, but, you know, he's never.
We can say that that internationally they can.
Right. Yeah.